I used to get drunk and like walk across Center City late at night at like 2:30 in the morning. Never thought twice about it. And then I was talking to this girl that I went to school with. And so I got drunk and walked across Center City at 2:30 in the morning, and she goes, "I could never do that." And then I was like, "Why?" Center City at 2:30 in the morning. She's like, "Are you kidding me? Look, I'm a woman and I'm walking across Center City at 2:30 in the morning."
Well, but you're like a 6'2" big dude.
Yeah,
with a beard.
It was like this was like this
Never crossed your mind.
This was a moment for me where I was like, "Yeah, it's not possible. There's no reason why anyone would think that's terrifying."
Welcome to episode 173 of the Emergent Gamer podcast. This is your host, Lock and Key, back again. You know, I was here and then I was gone. Now I'm here again. But it feels real good to be back here with you fellas.
Yeah, it's good to have you fucking back, dude.
Thanks, man.
It's great.
I missed you.
Thanks, man. Great. Really good.
I missed you. Aw.
Thanks.
We have an exciting episode for you. We're going to talk about what we've been up to for the past 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Destiny. We're going to be talking about Elder Scrolls Online, maybe a few other games that we've been messing around with, and then we're going to unpack a topic that's been all over Twitter and all over every major gaming news publication, which is what happened with AreaNet, which we'll get into in probably about 20 to 30 minutes or so. So why don't we break out, Felix? What have you been up to?
Felix are good.
Well, it's been very eventful. In terms of gaming progression.
Wait, do we want to? I'm going to cut you right off.
Yeah, go ahead, cut me off. Yeah.
Do we want to address the fact that we haven't done a show in like 2 weeks?
Right. Yeah.
You did mention that.
There are people like Kevin Oates out there. I know he hit us up on our Discord today, saying, "Is anyone else having trouble downloading episode 173?"
Doesn't exist yet. Throw in the shade.
Yeah, we took off for 4th of July. That made logical sense because it was in the middle of the goddamn week. Like, who has a 4th of July?
I went away that week too.
I was gone that week as well.
Yeah. So it was so funny that like me and Locke kind of talked to each other at one point in passing. You know, he was like, "I gotta go somewhere," and I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we don't do a show." And then for some reason, both of us just thought you guys got the message.
We just knew.
You didn't fucking get the message at all.
I'm playing Destiny with Neo, and I'm like, "We didn't fucking record a show this week."
Like they're there trying to plan a last minute like recording and like release of a show.
We're gonna do a 2-man Discord show.
Sundays, like for like earlier in the week. He's like, maybe we should record tonight. I'm like,
I'm sitting like I see the message pop up. I'm on the beach or like I'm down at the beach and I'm like, no, we're not doing anything. Guys.
I would have just laughed at my phone and just like put it down.
Not happening.
yeah. So we took off that week, and then the next week came around, and we wanted to restructure to Sunday. So we just pushed past doing a show earlier this week, so we could just record this show. And subsequently after this, we're going to record every Sunday.
Sundays, every night.
Just to be consistent, so you guys have a time slot, and you come to it like fucking your TV.
Yeah.
You know, get your TV here.
The only thing that may change a little bit is the start time because of work schedules and stuff.
Yeah. It has to fluctuate because sometimes we might get off later or whatever.
It'll generally be in the somewhere in the 6. Yeah.
Realistic.
Late 6,
I like
7.
the idea of having a set day time.
Yeah.
So it's not randomly in the week like we normally do. And
It
then
works
we put it out
way
on Friday.
better for scheduling
I hated
everything.
doing it like that, dude, because sometimes
Me too.
we'd push it all the way to like Wednesday at like 9 o'clock.
And then Felix has to like edit everything.
No, there were a couple times where we would release the show on Friday and we'd record on Thursday.
That hasn't happened a lot.
No.
Twice that happened, but that was.
But I would have to immediately go into the edit, and then it was just like I'm up
no,
until 4 in the morning. I'm like,
Don't go that far. Sometimes you'd be like, guys, I didn't edit it because I had to stream this morning.
Or like the other week,
so I was
where
streaming.
I was
didn't
up
do
till
anything.
4 a.m. trying to edit this YouTube thing.
Yeah, and I
was like, dude, you should have just quit
sorry.
2 a.m.
Not that you don't do a lot of work. I appreciate all the editing.
I DM these guys at like 4 in the morning, raging at my computer, which was like fucked up, and it wouldn't. I'd gone to upload the YouTube episode, and then YouTube told me to go fuck myself and said, "No, this episode can't go up."
If you haven't realized, Felix likes to speak in absolutes. Like it's always like, you know, there can't just be one thing that went wrong. It's always like the whole machine has broken. So like in that time when he was editing at 4 a.m., he was, you know, he made this like 10 commandment level thing where he was like,
You
we
drew a line in the
shall
sand."
never record on Thursdays
It was,
again because
yeah.
recording on Thursdays leads to this post, and this post in this Discord leads me to be frustrated. Therefore, no more recordings on Thursdays.
Oh man.
Where-
commandments were
besides-
brought down.
Or maybe it was just like, hey guys, next time if we record on a Thursday, maybe you could do this and you could do
no,
this,
I
so
was
that way
just-
it's not all on me. But like,
We
it's
will
always
never.
Like, yeah, it's like the end of the world.
yeah,
I have something to suggest off camera later, and we'll talk about that.
It
for our
took me
process.
right back to my days editing college. So, real quick anecdote.
God.
No, real quick.
Oh, sure.
I had to
gonna
edit.
let David tell a story.
No, this is for my sister. This
This takes up your time. This is
I had to. I wanted to do a gift for my sister, who, by the way, just got engaged.
Congratulations,
So
Felix.
now you
Congratulations,
now you
Felix's
understand why someone will want to do a gift for someone because you wanted to do a gift for her.
So congrats to our good friend Mox and my sister Felix. If you guys end up watching this on YouTube,
Sister Felix.
congratulations.
thank
It's
you,
awesome.
thank you. So they are they're engaged and everything. What was my train of thought?
See,
Lost my train of thought.
what have you been playing this week, Felix? Let's
Oh,
go back
come
to that.
on! I just
You,
wanted
were-
to.
you made a gift for her with editing video or editing
Yes.
something.
So I was making a.
Why did you?
I
Why
don't-
did you?
sorry.
I was making an like a graduation video, and I was editing it, and this was back when like editing softwares like video softwares had to render, and I ended up
still
doing
do.
this crazy edit. Yeah, but they render in the background. But I had to do this crazy edit, and I put it up for rendering, and it took 2 days, and I was literally up for 2 days, just like taking like whatever uppers or whatever, and just
Why
like,
would you stay awake while it was rendering? What
You can't do
purpose-
anything. You just got to let it do its thing.
What purpose does that?
I don't
hold?
remember. I don't remember. I was doing other stuff, but
was
whatever.
delirious.
I was super.
You said I was up for 2 days.
I was taking uppers, and I was just like.
Look, sometimes I enjoy watching progress bars a lot, but
Anyway, I'm losing all my time, so
Okay.
I'll be.
What
real
have you
quick.
been up to in these
So,
past 2 weeks? What have you been
in
gaming?
terms of gaming,
Yes, that's why we're here.
I hit some pretty fucking cool milestones, guys. So I got obsessed with trophies. I don't really know why. It just happened.
No, what do you mean? You've always been obsessed.
No, but I get obsessed with trophies. Trophies, I sometimes, most of the time, I just say shit can them. I don't care.
Yeah, but you used to chase a gamer score. Back
A
with
little,
Xbox.
yeah. I guess when you met me, I was kind of chasing a gamer.
No, no, you
fell
were.
off.
There wasn't kinda.
I fell off on it.
All right, and you're
and I wasn't doing that, but something happened. I platinumed Assassin's Creed, and then I said I'm going to do them all because I looked at all of.
that means you never stopped. You just you
maybe.
finally did a game
forgot.
where it works, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do this again.
Well, I noticed that the platinums are not easy, but they're doable. Like in the past, I got frustrated with doing platinums and doing 100% achievements because the goddamn people who develop these games bake in multiplayer achievements that you have to get. In
People are
games.
not a fan of those.
Right, but we're not a fan of them because a lot of times the multiplayer isn't good. It doesn't hold
Or they
out.
turn it off later, so if you're going
they
back to
turn
an
it
old
off.
game.
Yeah.
you can't ever
So,
get
for
it.
instance, a great example would be the Uncharted series.
I was just going to bring them up.
right that just re-released this Nathan Drake, and I noticed the goddamn trophies for multiplayer are still in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
when
the-
you
the-
re-release it for Nathan Drake, you have people that are playing it because of that re-release.
Right, but they're playing the single player. They're not going back and saying, "Let's rejoin the multiplayer."
Dude, Uncharted 2 multiplayer was some of the best multiplayer.
No, I did
we've
enjoy
played.
it. I did enjoy it, but I don't think it's going to be full. It could be full with people. I don't really know. But the point is I never got those trophies, nor do I care to do those. So I kind of fell off that kind.
When I first got my PS3, I used to be obsessed with getting all these trophies. I think I ended up getting like 20 platinums, and then one day I just went, can't do it. It's too much work to sit there and play all those games like that.
Well, my point about this is it wasn't too much work to do the Assassin's Creed one.
Okay.
Most of what
Horizons wasn't a lot of work.
Horizons was
I
amazing.
did that one as well. Yeah,
I did that.
it's
platinum.
good if you can accomplish work towards it while you just naturally play the
Yeah,
game.
what it was
I agree.
most of all the trophies I got in Assassin's Creed accomplished while I was playing, and it was awesome. And there were a few ones you had to do. There was one that was really stupid where you had to like sit in the desert for 15 minutes waiting for.
That does sound not awesome.
Your guy had to like hallucinate in the desert and got a trophy. You would see these bugs rain. But the greatest accomplishment I did recently was I got the God of War trophy.
Yay.
And I completed,
Oh, nice.
I completed God of War in 100%.
Did all the Valkyries.
That last Valkyrie I did not do on stream, man. Like I tried her on stream and lost, and you guys watched me die over and over again. And then the next night I just did it until 2 a.m, like with no one watching. Just accomplished
It's
that.
gotta
sometimes
do what you gotta
sometimes
do.
you got to put yourself in the zone.
I had to watch a video and like over and over again, and like really pay attention when I was playing it. Like I couldn't be distracted by people.
Those
and I was
Valkyries
just-
are
yeah.
no joke.
yeah, that
They are
last one
no
is
joke.
super hard, but I did it. It was
awesome,
great.
dude.
Congrats.
And then the big other thing that happened, besides Far Cry 5, but that's not complete yet because the DLCs all have trophies. But I did get not a trophy, but the 100% achievement on Xbox for the main game and the first DLC, Vietnam War stuff.
Cool.
Which is really a lot of fun. That actually has a 2 game modes that unlock when you complete it the first time. One called 80s Hero Mode, where you like
Trying to recapture that blood dragon. Is that
yeah,
what we're doing?
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like the way you got access to more weapons. It was fun. But and then a survivor mode. So that was cool.
Nice.
So you guys are gonna jump up my ass, but
Probably not.
I am.
Yeah, I think I'm okay where I'm sitting.
I know away from your ass.
I know I've said on like multiple episodes up until this point that I don't like games as a service, but
Yes.
I broke down and I paid the $15 a month for Elder Scrolls Online.
How does that taste?
It's gonna taste like shit, but I think I'm just gonna put an extra $15 to my credit card bill a month and call it a day.
Right.
You're calling it, all right.
No, yeah, you've already done that.
Calling it a bill.
So what makes you change as for your games as a service? Like what
Well,
did it for you?
Well, I learned that there are multiple members of my community that play this game on a regular basis. So one part of it, a portion of it, is a community decision because this is a game that's go-to. Like Kyle plays it, Artemis plays it, Cryptic plays it. Cryptic bought it to play it with us, which is
Nice.
Thank you, Cryptic.
You got a whole crew.
It's awesome.
So there, and I finally had a chance to play it with 6 people at once, and it was incredibly hilarious. It was a lot of fun, and I could get that experience in any MMORPG, but this is just one that has the lore that goes along with what I've been playing in Skyrim and Oblivion. Well, I didn't play Oblivion, but Skyrim and Morrowind and games that I love. So I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it. But the biggest reason I took this step, because I could just play that game without the $15 a month.
You absolutely could.
The biggest thing is my favorite part of the game. I would say 60% of the play that I put into that game to 70% of the play is crafting. I like the crafting part of the game. I think it's
And
superior.
you
Tell me what you get with your subscription.
I think it's superior to the crafting. I think is superior to any previous Elder Scrolls game that's ever come out. Okay. However,
What?
Can you not craft
I'm going to tell you what you get.
by not paying for it?
No, you can craft. So what you get is you get an unlimited craft bag, which I'll talk about what that is in a second.
What's the limit without paying?
The limit is when you start the game, you have 60 slots in a bank and 60 slots in a player capacity.
Can
you carry
you
with
increase that?
That can be increased.
With real money?
It's incredibly expensive to do that.
In game.
Yes, because I
Okay.
believe it's so in the game with the game coins that you get as the character, not the ones that are the
In-game currency.
store currency. They call those crowns. It's 1,000 to upgrade 10 slots the first time. Then the next time it's 2,000. Then the next time it's 3,000, 4,000. Like each 10 slot,
They want you to
increases
pay that monthly fee.
1,000 like in-game.
It's
currency.
funny you say this because World of Warcraft does a similar thing.
Right.
But this was before the real money store that they added. So like you would in game if you wanted to upgrade your bags, you would have to shell out for it a lot of money.
Well, you can also, I noticed you can go to the crown store and use crowns to buy more bag space and more bank space. So you can pay money there. That's even more money. That's crazy.
They give you a shortcut.
Yeah.
It's kind of dirty.
Yeah. It's a
dirty
huge
thing.
No,
I'll
it's
tell you-
funneling you all the way towards
Yeah.
paying.
So here's what
That's
I
what
real-
killed the Old Republic MMO, in my opinion. They added that store and then everything just became useless.
Right.
It made the game completely feel awful.
So what I realized,
Yes.
because they just had 4 or 5 days recently where it's free to have the ESO features. In addition to that, you get a crown stipend of $1,500 a month, and then you get all the DLC included, right? So those are
Which
the
you
main
didn't
things.
own the DLC before.
I bought Independent, Morrowind, and Somerset, and the Dark Brotherhood, and so it's about.
So you
I
bought,
didn't-
you
I
bought
didn't
all
pay-
the DLC.
This is what I put out. I did not pay the 60 originally for the game because that was a gift from Mrs. Felix.
Right.
Then I thought in my head, I'll get the Dark Brotherhood and just the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild because it's cool, right? And that was 20 and 20,
Okay.
so 40 total.
Right.
And
Brotherhood was
then
$20.
Morrowind was announced, and I played Morrowind back in the day.
Yeah.
So I said, "Fuck it, I'll get Morrowind," and that was 30 or 40. That was 40. That was 40.
Okay.
And then they announced Somerset just recently, and I said I'll buy that for $30.
But you just said that the 15 a month gets you all the DLC.
Right.
Why are you buying the DLC?
Did
For
all
the crafting.
No.
He already bought all the DLC.
I made those decisions before I decided to do the.
I understand that, but the next DLC that has come out, Somerset, it's already out and you've bought it,
Yeah, I paid for it.
like before paying the $15 a month.
You're right. So if I stop paying the $15 a month, I still have access to that area.
What are you currently getting out of your
The
extra
crafting.
$15?
That's unlimited crafting.
Right. So
Oh, gotcha.
so
Oh, I get it.
I'll be real brief on this because I know you guys. We're going to move on.
No, it's
but,
okay.
But
Screw you, bro.
to explain to explain to somebody whose primary function in this game is not the dungeons, not the questing, not the even social fucking aspect of the goddamn game, to convey to you how amazing this game became when I got a craft bag. I can't even fucking express it. The craft bag takes every single crafting implement that you use in the game and puts it in a limitless bag that you carry with you on your person. Everywhere I go, any town I go into, I have all these items and across all my characters, except for if I play the character on the European server. I have 3 characters. 1 on the European server and then 2 on the American server.
Okay.
So the 2 American characters have the same craft bag. So if I'm in one character, anything I collect in the world that crafts goes
All your
right into that
characters
bag.
now have it.
Which
All
is
my
not a
characters
feature
have
that you get unless you pay the subscription.
Right. Not to mention the 60 slots that you get in your player capacity are now free for weapons and things you collect, right? That can be broken down for more crafting items. And then on top of that, the bank space with the ESO membership is doubled. So now my bank space is 180.
Damn.
Right? And I did upgrade that like twice. So I have 180 bank space. I don't even need the bank space at this point because most of the things I had in the player capacity and the bank space was crafting stuff.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
If you paid for all this, all the material meaning content, right? Before you paid monthly for this, you can make other characters, right?
Yeah, no, you get like up to 8 characters even if you don't pay for ESO.
Can you give these characters materials to hold? And then just kind of switch back and forth and
Yeah, you could.
leave them somewhere.
There could be a
and-
system
yeah.
where
This is
because
some
if you put it
D2 classicness right there. You know what I
It's,
mean?
yeah.
no, if you put it in the
We used to call them
bank,
mules back in Final Fantasy
if
11.
you put it in the bank, no, the other character can get it. Yeah, and that's why I was in the process before I got the craft bag of essentially using the bank as my craft bag.
Sure.
I put everything in the bank and then I was just using it. But now I have the craft bag and it's just like literally everything I can pick up goes in there. You know, like this opens up parts of the game I couldn't play before.
It's a magical bag.
Here's an example.
Look, as long as
This is a big fucking bag.
as
There's a lot in
as
this
long
bag.
as this is worth.
No, listen to this.
I'm terrible at quick head math.
Another
During
aspect
this
of the
show.
game is
I'm going to do the math though.
No, hold on. Another aspect to the game is buying a house. Those items are completely like superfluous and take up too much space in your bag if you take all of the different crafting elements for it. I couldn't do any of the house stuff at all because I didn't have the space for it, right? Now that stuff is all sitting in my craft bag. In addition to that, if I keep saying that word, it's going to like...
A craft bag. Craft bag. My craft bag.
The high-end crafting of armor and stuff
CB.
like that uses these things called trait gems that you can't buy from anyone. You just find them. But until you actually research to use the trait gem, you have to research like the skill that is associated with it. You got to keep those things in your inventory. They just take up fucking space.
Right.
So basically it's one of these things where now I can have all those in the craft bag. So if I research something, I get the skill, the item is just there and available to me
Right.
when I want to craft.
I'm going to tell you that I'm
gonna
very,
stop
very
talking.
no. Okay.
Oh, get it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna just say like I'm glad that you found value for it and it
Yeah.
makes your experience better. It sounds fucking terrible that they make you play a game where you have to literally manage your inventory, like
Well,
to a
now I
point of
don't.
frustration. No, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, it's ridiculous to me that they make you play a game. Well, they don't make you play any game. That you're playing a game because you like the lore and you want to play with your friends, and the only way that they can get money out of you, more money, is by managing your inventory
Right.
to a point of frustration to where
Yeah.
you give them
Yes.
more money.
Yeah, because you're the best case scenario for them. You paid for every single bit of content.
Well,
and you also
not really.
No,
But-
you have.
You
You did.
have.
You have.
You've spent more
base
money on
game-
the DLC
base
than
game and
any
all the
other game.
DLCs.
You essentially have done like your Destiny bit over again.
Not as much. No, I haven't spent as much as Destiny.
You will if you're paying $15 a month.
Yes.
I would only spend as much as I spent on Destiny if I bought this game on 2 consoles.
But what I'm saying is you will get there by spending.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
$15 a
By
month.
doing the 15 bucks.
Felix, I don't want you to feel bad about that. I have now bought it on 2 consoles.
that game.
Destiny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but did you
Good
buy
for
it? Did you buy it? You didn't buy D1 on 2 consoles and then D2 on 2 consoles,
No, just D1 I bought once.
right?
I did.
Yeah, he's bought the Destiny series 4 times.
Oh.
Okay.
But that's awesome. I'm glad that you're having fun.
No. What
with
I wanted
MMO.
to ask Neo and Trip and you. You guys play MMOs. How do they paywall you? They got to paywall you somehow.
I'll tell you World of Warcraft's. Oh, when I was playing World of Warcraft, you would literally just pay to play the game.
Yeah.
That
Final
was-
Fantasy
that's
11
it.
and
you
14.
didn't get perks
Most
for that.
14 as well.
Most
Most-
were
yeah.
they at least started as you don't do anything until you pay. It's a recent phenomenon now to do like
To do the free
free
play
up
model.
to X amount of levels, and then you can do whatever else
I
once
got
you
it.
start paying.
The Old
the-
Republic does the
Same thing.
ESO model.
But they do more than the ESO model. Like there's other perk specific things that you get more than the 3 things that he just named. Like you get a
Yes.
lot more.
Oh, there's
for
probably
doing-
other stuff. I just don't know.
Yeah,
it
there's
all
like a
yet.
whole cosmetic shop.
I'm not
Yeah.
like
So, but like most MMOs, you're paying for them to run the server to play the game,
and
Like,
you're paying
that monthly
for the
fee.
investment of them improving the game constantly and constantly maintaining the game and making it better.
Right.
Well, I haven't thought about that, but maybe that is going into this. I don't know.
What do you mean?
What
Yeah,
I'm saying,
well,
I
I mean,
pay
obviously-
To increase your storage by that much, the money has to come from somewhere. Like their server space on the back end is only so big. Like,
Right,
It's the same reason why the Destiny vault was smaller in D1 because they had to store last gen bullshit.
It's getting too small for
like
me right now.
like you had to.
Side note: you can
What
break
keeps the
anything
craft bag
down
limitless, though?
that you have now, and you can.
I have no
I
idea.
I wouldn't know
in the
in
fall.
development.
They announced
Yeah,
that.
you didn't know that? That was posted in our Destiny Discord by Channing.
The collectibles will.
No, by Vizzy. Vizzy posted it.
Oh, I didn't look.
Anyway, thanks for letting me speak, guys. I just wanted to get that
Yeah.
out.
No,
dude.
sure. No, now you can go back to not speaking. What do you mean? Thank you. Yes, of course.
You're always very long about it, which
you get there.
Did you get there? You know?
No, I'm slightly self-conscious of the long-windedness. Sorry.
It's
Stop apologizing.
I'm gonna
Can
shut
we-
And
the
don't
fuck up.
do it anymore.
Can we start there? Stop apologizing.
Shut the fuck up.
look. If you enjoy the craft bag, dude, that's all that matters.
Is there
We'll see.
Is there anything outside of Destiny that we're going to talk about that you guys? Because I have one thing I want to hit on.
I have one.
No,
quick-
I've been
one
playing
quick
Hollow Knight, but it's literally the same stuff I said last time. It's still really hard, and I'm still stuck in it.
I was actually I put that on my wish list during the Steam sale.
It's
'cause I
cool.
was going to buy it during the Steam
it's
sale,
great.
but
I have it on Switch, but
nice. Well, sure, you and your Switch.
Oh,
It's pretty great.
Switchy.
It's free on Xbox. I just got that game. Did you guys see that game that Peanut mentioned on Twitter?
No.
No.
I'll get back to
You find
in
it
a
on
second.
Twitter.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I wanted to talk about besides Destiny was I know I mentioned it in the Discord.
Death Squared.
I
You
don't
guys
know
heard
what
of
that
it?
is.
I'm gonna
I
try
have
it.
I have heard of it. It's a multiplayer
Yeah,
puzzle.
he
game.
says it's really good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And that's free on Xbox.
Yeah, free on Xbox.
And,
I just
and if
got
they
that.
they said if they sell like 250,000 copies, they'll make it free for every platform.
Oh, cool.
Wow,
Yeah. So
interesting.
little tidbit for you guys.
I played about an hour, so it's not a lot of experience, but the servers went down. I got invited to Fear the Wolves. Fear the Wolves? Fear of the Wolves. It's a new BR game that's coming out. I signed up like anytime I see a game that's like sign up to get invited to the beta or alpha, I just sign up for
Is
shit
this the
now.
TV show like one, or the game show like one, or is that a different thing that I'm thinking of?
No, that's if we get to the culling. That's the culling.
Oh, that's the
TV
okay.
show.
Gotcha,
one.
gotcha.
Fear the Wolves is a stalker / Fallout inspired BR game. So it takes place in like a wasteland setting. There's a PvE element to it where there's like there's monsters that can come at you that have been affected by the radiation. But in essence, it's a BR game. You drop in from a plane, you land. Last one to survive.
Sure.
But the twist on it that they're spinning is this PvE element where there's actually monsters that can kill you. Maybe a little bit more similar to the DayZ mod, Neo.
Yeah.
But I think what they're trying to do is make the enemy like the zombies in the DayZ mod were like a non-problem. Like because you would just run away from them for the
Yeah,
most
but
part.
you know
right?
what? They were really fucking annoying because they would chase you for miles.
Yeah, I don't know if
getting
these.
up.
Yeah,
and then
I didn't run into.
And they could go through buildings like walls.
Well, that's
because
the game was broken.
Game was broken.
Yeah. So I didn't encounter any of the PvE elements because the servers were so bad that like I would die almost immediately to like just random bullets hitting you and like lag and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is the first week that the game has been out and has been tested. And I'm a part of it, so just each week they open it up. I think they close it for a few days to do patches and stuff, and then they open it up. And so I'll keep playing that to report on it. Just because it's a new BR game.
What's your early impressions right now?
Early impressions that if they fix everything, I think it'll be a cool twist on the BR game.
Got potential.
It does.
fix all the
it
problems.
does. Only because like I like the idea behind it that you're being dropped into this wasteland and you're really just trying to survive because you're in this setting, and you have to do whatever you can. And the idea of this threat, you're not just worried about other players, but you're worried about like the PvE elements of it.
It's like the most realistic premise for a battle royale is what you're saying
Yeah, kind of.
behind the scenes.
Yeah. I think now I didn't, the games that I played didn't really last long enough to see if there is any elemental stuff. Like, does radiation get to a point where you need to find like an oxygen mask or something like that? Like, I saw an oxygen tank as an item you could pick up, but I didn't live long enough to see what it was used for. Because like I would just random bullets, like I wouldn't see anybody and I would just die from random bullets, and because the servers were so bad. But that would also be very interesting. Like you have to find equipment to survive just from the elements. Which if you've played the Stalker series, which I'm currently playing through that very slowly, it's very similar. Like you can die by the elements, like a Fallout mod where you die from
Those are my
dehydration
favorite.
and things like that, which adds a whole other level and element to a BR game that hasn't been done yet. So we'll see. I mean, I think we haven't really been saturated with BR games yet because, we have Realm Royale came out and that's been super popular. But until COD and Battlefield's version comes out, there's just smaller developers making their take on the genre. So we'll just see how it plays out.
see.
So I'll keep talking about it. But
Yeah,
Royale watch continues.
when you were describing that, I was thinking of like how the Battlefield 5 one is going to be.
yeah.
Like thinking about like the types of weapons that can be dropped into, like a World War II themed BR setting.
Yeah, I mean the most exciting thing for it is that like AAA developers are now making games. Like all of these other games, BR games, were either mods or smaller teams making the game. So like Fortnite's probably the most polished battle royale game that we have, right?
Yeah.
But it's not realistic, right? People play PUBG because they like the realism of the battle royale, like the way the guns feel, the modding, all of that. So to see what EA and DICE will do, or what Activision will do, and we'll see what that turns into. It's exciting because you're going to get it on an engine that actually works. Because we've seen multiplayer games come out from them. Like
there weren't like tanks and artillery and things like that in PUBG, right?
No.
Just
There's
land vehicles.
cars and boats,
But there's
nothing.
not destructive buildings either, right?
Not
No.
really. No.
Right. So like Battlefield with like destructive buildings and like
It's going to be
giant
very
tanks and,
interesting
like,
to see what they do.
Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
Although if you guys should watch some high level Fortnite play, that's just crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. It's
Because they will like go, oh no, I'm about to get into a firefight with someone, and then moments later
Yeah.
they've literally erected a
I
building
saw
around them.
Ninja do that.
well
yeah.
during the
He
Guardian
made a
Con
building
during,
while he was killing a guy.
during Ninja's block of the Guardian Con stream, there were incentives coming in where at a certain donation level, he had to either drop all his materials or drop all his guns.
That's what Dr. Lupo did too.
And I watched him play this round, and he won. It was insane,
But he didn't
won.
have weapons. He had dropped them all.
He had to drop them, and then he pick up the next one that he finds and stuff, or find one from
It's
someone he just killed.
Just whatever randomly happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what his? I wanted to watch his block to see if he beat Lupo's donations. Do you know what his?
Oh yeah, he ended up making like 250,000.
Well, because Lupo did like 380 something.
Oh really?
Lupo
Oh, shit.
like destroyed it. Yeah,
Wow.
Lupo had like.
I didn't know it was
an
that
absurd
close,
amount.
so I don't know who came
Yeah.
out on
Okay.
top. Interesting.
Shout out to Guardian Con. By the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, shout out.
Nearly, I think nearly 3 million. They crushed their 2.7 goal for sure. Don't know if they hit 3 million.
I got $2 from Woo the other day.
But it's great that they
Thanks,
had this
Thanks.
charity focus on on gaming and benefiting St. Jude and
Yeah, so anyone
all
that doesn't
stuff.
know, Guardian Con was started when, Trip? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
This is the third year.
I think it started 4 years ago, but the first year was like this, like it happened in like a bar.
It was
like a meet and
It was a
greet for, like,
meetup
Destiny.
that didn't have enough space for the bar they chose.
Yeah, so then they made it to an actual con, and this is run by Professor Broman Goliathan, who organized this charity event. And this past year, they did a bunch of different blocks with popular streamers. You didn't have to just stream Destiny. Most of it was Fortnite streamers, to be honest, because that's where the
views
viewership
are.
is.
Yeah.
A lot of them went over and played Fortnite, though. She snapped was down.
Yeah, well, I
there.
mean,
Well, rotated in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
she played
but,
Fortnite a lot.
They raised over $2.7 million for St. Jude's, which 2.7 million is how much it costs to run St. Jude's Hospital for a day.
Wow.
So
What?
they were
Really?
So
Yep.
they were able
Wow.
to.
That's why the number.
That was the number, right? And St. Jude makes most of its money off of charitable donations to run the hospital.
Wow.
So the gaming community. I ended up donating very little, but I donated during Tim the Tapman stream.
Yeah, you love that guy.
I love that guy, and in the last 12 minutes of his stream, he was just dancing with his Fortnite character and earned like 24K. And I was like,
Nice.
all right. And
What a world.
And it was like, it was so great to see people like, everyone just came together, and it shows like, we're going to get to the negative aspect of the gaming community in a little bit, but it really shows what we can do as a community,
Yeah, for
regardless
sure.
of video game, whatever it may be. Like
Yeah.
if we come together for a good
Yeah,
cause.
my favorite
it was truly
is
inspiring to
the
watch it.
24-hour extra life streams that people
Yeah.
do. They stream for like 24 hours to raise money for the children's hospitals. It's
amazing,
very
man.
nice.
It
Yeah.
really is.
We should coordinate that and do
Oh,
that.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, we had done it.
No, I don't mean a 24-hour
No,
for each of us.
we had done a small, like, we didn't really earn anything, but we did when Taken King came out.
Yeah, I remember.
We did the 12-hour stream. You were donating to something
we were
specific.
you
You
donating
did Spirit Halloween.
Spirit of Halloween.
I
yeah.
did Chop, and I plan on doing it again with the Forsaken launch. I plan on doing a charity stream, and I just want that to be a rotation for myself, which is, like once a year I do a long stream and just donate any proceeds, and if not, I'll just donate money at the end. Because I think we have an opportunity to use the platform in a huge way. Now, it's
Yeah,
not
for
going to
sure.
be what obviously Dr. Lupo, Ninja, or any of these major streamers get, but if we can do what we love to do and donate a little something to a charity in the
I like that.
same time, it's worth it.
I,
So
I think if we grow the community of either the Emergent Gamer on Mixer or on Twitch, we should just do charity streams from
Yeah.
that channel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, like I said, we can do a lot as a gaming community to help others.
Specifically, though, Mrs. Felix introduced me to Able Gamers. Mm-hmm. And Able
familiar with
Gamers
that.
is about like making games more accessible to people
Right.
who have like arms that they've lost and things like that, and they have a charity you can donate to.
Nice.
So-
There's a really amazing PUBG streamer that is I forget the exact terminology, but it's like quadriplegic, but there's a specific term, everything neck down.
Okay.
And his brother introduced him to this device where he just uses his mouth.
Yeah, she might have been mentioning this guy
And
because she was talking about something like that.
He plays PUBG, and he's incredible at PUBG. He's not just like, people don't just watch him because it's like crazy to see. Like, he's actually good at the game. And there was this whole YouTube video around, like, and it was his brother talking about how when the accident happened, like he was paralyzed at a freak accident. And he was like play fighting with someone at like a fraternity party, and he just fell the wrong way, and he just
sucks, man.
from neck
Wow.
down, right? And he didn't know what to do with himself. And this device and this platform of Twitch has like given him something to live for and be great at again. He was a super competitive person, and it's crazy to see him like with just his mouth and like very limited neck movement to be able to like play PUBG and like actually snipe
Fuck
people.
everybody up.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really
That's
is.
insane.
There's a Shroud actually rated him and like brought in like 40,000 people to his stream one day
That's
after
super cool.
he was done, and donations were rolling through and subs were rolling through, which is really, really cool. But it's like those moments that you see that it's like, okay, this is what we could do.
Right.
This is what we can do, not could. So how do we as the smaller platform still find a way to do something like that? So it's pretty cool. Love
Yeah.
it. So, Destiny.
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 Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we've been
I
doing.
want to throw out one more thing.
Oh, yeah,
one
do
other
it.
thing because I haven't
Guilting me.
haven't had a chance yet. All I did that's different is set up my VR stream again, though.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I think it's valuable because I haven't touched this in a while. We haven't talked VR in a while. But I was sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use all my space I have in my new setup here to do some room scale VR again.
yes.
The idea was
Hell
to
yeah.
set up.
Because you have a Vive?
I have the Vive.
What did
yeah.
you play?
The idea was to set up the Vive and do Elite Dangerous. Because I do have
nice.
a flight joystick too. And I've done this maybe once before, but it was so immersive that I wanted to like just play more and more. The game has such a high skill level for figuring out what fucking buttons do what, and you have just spend the first 5 hours learning how to like, you know,
ship.
just move around the world. So
totally
it's a
agree.
big, huge pain in the ass. I've only done it once before. But I want to do it as a thing just to like, you know, chill and relax and experience this. But I updated all of my hardware, which took an hour. Like the lighthouses, the little monitors you got to like set up to scan your room,
yeah,
the
yeah.
controller, the headset. I got like all that shit updated to the latest firmware. And I hopped into Vive's home base area, which they updated and made like a little mountain cabin. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's pretty nice, right? Like my menus are the TV on the wall and shit. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Then it goes, if you want to download other environments, you can check the list right here. So I went, oh, let me see what else is there. People from the community had made like little, you know, back roads in England and cute little things like that. I was like, this is nice. I'll get a bunch of these. But then I saw Stargate Command.
Hell yeah.
Someone made Stargate Command from the show Stargate.
Trips into some
SG-1.
space shit.
I
so you know.
love Stargate. The movie impacted me real young, and the show is pretty great too. So I downloaded this and went into this as an experience. It's not even a game. It's just like a waiting area. You can just hang out in here.
Okay. It's like a social space?
Yeah, but you can be in the room yourself or invite people to be in like your hangout area while you wait to load a game or start something up. But I just spent like an hour wandering around Stargate. You can walk up and down the little plank up into the gate. You can go to the gate room and you can dial different worlds. I went through the gate
Nice.
to Atlantis, like because the Atlantis show had a little setup for a little while. They
Yeah.
had their own
Yeah.
command, but like there's something different about being there in VR and looking at this stuff that you've watched, feeling like you're on that show or in that environment. You know when you go to like Universal or Disney or something and you
Yeah.
see like these well-crafted areas and you feel like, oh, this is so cool. I feel like I'm part of this world. But even then you're on a guided tour. You're on a path, right? You go through Hogwarts and you're just like, you're looking at the stuff that's real and in front of you, but you can't like go up and touch it or walk through
No
or
interaction.
anything really.
Yeah.
This felt better than that because I walked wherever I wanted to and got up close and saw things and things moved and they worked and they were functional. And it just, I got this like real childlike sense of wonder that we don't often get too much
Yeah.
because you're
It
actually
felt like
in
you
this,
were in the room to scale.
I was because I could literally I could move my feet and physically get closer to this because of how I had the VR set up in my room.
Wow.
And the detail to which they recreated these places.
Take a picture of your VR-ness.
The what?
Your VRness.
VR. How do I
Sorry, let me reiterate.
how do I do that?
Take a picture
Take
of
a
your,
picture of like the
your
space.
VRness.
Or like
Yeah, how
I
do you
want to
have it set up?
I want to
Yeah.
visualize how you're like doing it. Not
You set up a conveyor belt
It's-
like that got kid in
No, no, I
Ready
just
Player
have-
One?
I have a corner desk in my room.
yeah.
So in the far corner, it's my desk and my computer. My bed's in the other area of my room. So my room is a pretty big footprint. So the area in the middle,
Lots of space for
in front of like
activities.
the closet, in front of just wherever I walk else in my room. It's a pretty big room. It's just empty. So as long as I just push all this shit out of the way, like if there's a chair or like a night table, I can make like a big square area and just walk around anywhere
Within that area.
within that area. You can reposition yourself in VR. So like if I get up to where my wall is in real life, it throws up this like transparent blue net just to let you know, hey, if you walk further, you're gonna walk into something. So you can press a button on your controller and essentially teleport your movement square to somewhere else, and you reposition you, and then in that new position you can walk around.
Gotcha.
And that's
like-
that's how you do Skyrim. That's how
Right,
you-
exactly.
That's
You
how you do
walk
Fallout.
to a limited area, and then you can just kind of reposition yourself.
Gotcha.
Somewhere else. So yeah, within there you could like walk around and poke things and interact.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It wasn't even a game. I just experienced.
But to be
this.
honest, I feel like that's how I would utilize VR. like I don't VR technology is not at a point where I would want to play Skyrim or Fallout. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I would get annoyed with the way that I would have to play the game.
Yeah.
But like the idea of being in like exactly what you were saying, you get this like childlike feeling. It's why everyone loves Universal over any other part of fucking of going to Disney, because Universal puts you in these scenarios where like you love the Jaws movie, so going on the Jaws ride is
You're
like,
on the boat. You're in the water.
yeah, and it's like and those simulations at the time were crazy. Like I remember the Terminator one
Yeah, I
and
did it.
T2 was
I
like
did.
incredible at the time. So like you're investing in something that you already truly love. So
Right.
Stargate as this series, or
Right.
insert anything. Like if I could walk around Westeros,
Yeah.
I would walk around Westeros in VR.
I haven't dug as deep. Maybe there's something like that.
You know what I mean? But like that type of like,
Yeah,
and,
so-
and maybe I would interact with the world, and that's the game. Like you can talk to people, and that's the
gotta-
interaction versus like
Can you-
there needing to be.
Last
a
time I
game.
was at Universal, I was 21, and I got drunk and ended up in Margaritaville. But there was no fucking Jimmy Buffett in there.
Well,
there's
there's
not.
no reason to go to
Fucking
Margaritaville if
dick.
there's no Jimmy Buffett.
But I was blacked out drunk and ended up in Margaritaville.
That's what they want.
That's how the song goes. That's
what they want.
Can you go to the like Galactica, like the Battlestar Galactica?
It all like this was all community built. This was just a list.
Someone
saying,
made this.
Hey,
Oh.
if you want other areas, pop into the forums and see what's there.
Can you,
And
can you
in
report
VR,
back
there was
to
a
me on
link
if you
to
can
it.
walk around the Galactica?
I'll go. I mean, we
Alright.
can find out for sure.
Because I'm at a point now that like my GPU will run a setup, right?
Yeah,
like I
well.
don't have the money to necessarily jump into VR quite yet, but like I feel like we're getting closer and closer that I would want to do.
The quality's
going to
get higher and
Yeah.
better anyway too.
Yeah.
And I've
awesome.
but like what you're saying exactly. The amount of time that I've spent in there total is just with experiences.
Yeah, which
Like
is great.
it's with Google Earth, walking around somewhere
Yeah.
in VR. It's in like Stargate. It's the time in games is minimal. It's more.
Right.
It's cooler to see things that you can't easily see normally. Whether that's traveling somewhere on Earth or being in a place that doesn't exist, but
Right.
you
Yeah,
enjoy the
I heard
environment.
one thing they're going to be doing that I think is really neat in VR is, it's VR, is your ability to go to any art museum on Earth, like and just like literally
able to walk
walk
around.
up to any of the paintings.
I do have one art museum game program. I guess would be the word downloaded.
This would be probably similar to that.
Yeah.
I heard it was
That's
based.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can go up and see art and see statues and shit.
You get an
Places you've
idea
never
of
gone
like how
before.
high David is. You
Yeah.
know, Michelangelo's David.
Yeah. So let's hit Destiny for a little bit. Yeah. So
We were talking before the show about it.
we were talking about
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, I don't know how much you guys have talked about Destiny since the last time I was on. We really were not all playing together the
No.
last time I was on.
Last 2 weeks we went real hard. We did a bunch of raids. We've been PvPing. We did
Yeah.
Iron Banner. We tried the Trials of the
It's
Nine.
crazy how big our community has grown on PC for Destiny. Pretty
I'm
quickly.
loving
too.
it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Dude.
Because
it feels great.
It's making the game more fun for me, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Having you guys like to play with, and it's just better.
Well,
Better that way.
because it doesn't really at the bottom line. Sure, there's like the chasing of the loot. There's the different experience, like the different in-game experiences that we get to do. But the bottom line, the time we're having the most fun is when we're laughing and enjoying each other's company. Like it sounds cheesy, right? But it's the same way that he likes.
I would
playing
never
ESO,
say
right?
that. Before I stopped playing Destiny on a regular basis, it was one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had.
And that's what it comes down to, right? Like if it was just Trip and I playing, like when we first started to try to play together, it was just him and I
Right.
trying to play. So we would each we wouldn't be able to sync up times together, and we would just be grinding our own individual character. Like it was not nearly as fun as it is when now we have a full 6 for a raid,
Yeah.
right? And like even more to come with Forsaken coming out. Like we got Snacks, who's like ready to get it as soon as he can,
Come on,
right?
man,
so Snacks
get
is
in
gonna
there,
get it.
buddy.
And I think more and more people will become interested in it. You know, we got to meet Trip and I now know Vizzy, right? Like we didn't know who that was, and he's an amazing and awesome dude.
He's from the KF fan department,
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover there too, which is cool.
You're wel-
It's
yeah,
cool that
you
it's
know,
growing from that.
bringing it on
from that
over.
way.
Yeah.
Now the people I play PUBG with, they won't play Destiny with me.
Yeah.
There's,
That's okay.
there's- we were talking about that earlier, man. This weird line in the
They
sand
have it too,
about
which isn't the. I'm not telling them to go buy it. They already
yeah.
have a lot of them. own it.
It's like the weird stance taking, and you can't possibly change, or else everyone's gonna think less of you for evolving.
Changing
and stuff.
opinions.
I don't
which,
get that
which is the running
mentality at
joke.
all.
I'm a moderator at the Kind of Funny Discord. It's a running joke now that I'm a shill for Destiny 2 because all of a sudden I'm playing it and like having
Well,
fun.
because you had the audacity to change your mind and your
I
experience.
thought you were a shill for Nintendo. What are you?
I'm a shill for the things I love.
Yeah.
And I think,
Here's the thing.
I think you're
but then when
allowed
I'm
to do
angry
that.
about it. Like, like in November when I was like at full like Destiny, like, come on, Destiny, what are you doing? This isn't fun for me anymore. I'm not enjoying you. And then I walked away from it, and that was fine.
Here's the
But-
thing: all of those experiences were valid and were right.
Sure.
You're not taking that away because you're playing it now.
Yeah.
They changed the game and added
They have?
value to the game for you,
I
and now
still
you're experiencing
don't
it.
like the Curse of Osiris stuff.
And yeah, sure.
Like Channing and I were playing. One of the guys we played, Channing Tater.
Right.
Channing Tater.
Shout out Channing.
Shout out
Channing.
Channing.
That's
good, dude.
We were doing like heroic strikes, and we kept getting like those heroic
The ones-
strikes.
yeah.
The ones on that planet. And he's like, I hate this. I fucking hate this fucking recreating
Sure.
area. And I'm like, yeah, it's
Infinite
not fun.
Force.
It is not great.
It does suck.
It feels like you're literally doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
And I still have criticisms about it, but like overall, the game is just a joy to play. It feels way better than the PS4 version I played.
Oh,
It does.
I
PC is
can't
the
believe
platform that if you can, you should be playing.
Yeah.
it
I
on,
I can't
for
believe
sure.
how good this game looks and feels on this console. And I just played it on PS4.
Yeah.
And it's fun to like raid with you guys because I know you guys you're huge Destiny people, so it's like
Yeah.
I'm with
Still are.
I'm with the D crew.
That's why I'm super excited once we can hop into
Spire Stars.
Spire of Stars because one, I have not done that yet.
Same.
So that's super exciting. So
Same.
that's a piece of content that I have not yet completed. So that's also exciting. And then the thought of everything new that we'll get to experience with Forsaken as the first time. Like I'm
Yo.
super excited for like us hopping into the new raid together
first time on
for the
PC,
first time
yeah.
on PC and like
God, Gambit's gonna feel so good.
Gambit
looks awesome.
All of it's going
Yeah.
to be really, really great. And I think here's what I'm going to say about like the guys that give us shit in the Destiny chat. I understand to not want to jump into a game and feel like you're wasting your time because I think that's what it is, right? I think if they felt like they weren't going to waste their time, they would play it again. The difference with playing a game like Rainbow Six or PUBG, which to be perfectly honest are just as shitty as Destiny, and if you're going to argue that they're not, you're wrong. And I'll tell you that your opinion is wrong because factually you're incorrect. But the problem is the thing is that you can go play. You can go play Rainbow Six Siege or you can go play PUBG and feel good because the game is over. And you can put it down and you've
Walk
played
away.
a few matches, right? It's the same way where any multiplayer game in that aspect, you're not grinding to achieve something and then feeling like you've hit the end of the road and now I've put in 80 hours and now I have nothing to show for it, right? I think that's what people are hesitant to jump back into Destiny for because they could play 10 games of PUBG, maybe get a chicken dinner, maybe have some really great intense matches, and that's the reward for them
Sure.
to play. And I understand that. Like
we played that too. So
I haven't played it as much since we've been playing Destiny, but like I understand like searching for that chicken dinner or playing that intense PUBG match. But PUBG like is far worse than Destiny as a game. Mechanically, everything else about it. Like
yeah.
like it is Destiny is a superior game in essence of the way that it functions.
it's design,
Everything
sound,
besides what you
visuals,
may want to argue against with content, right? Like I don't like this piece of content, I don't like that piece of content, or I feel like it could be XYZ, but
the guns are boring with their stats. Those are the criticisms. You know,
but at the end of the day, you're also playing a flawed game. So you also need to admit that the game that you're choosing to spend your time on is just as flawed.
Right.
If we're talking about PUBG, Rainbow Six, not as flawed as PUBG, but still flawed. That was in the news recently about people
Banning
getting
the
instant
cheaters,
banned in
yeah.
Rainbow Six,
the
right?
the people using slurs, yeah.
Which we might touch on this in a moment. But I hope that some of them decide to jump in because I do feel like different members from the Kind of Funny community would enjoy playing Destiny with us.
Yeah.
To hop in and play like a Trials match or
Dude.
Iron Banner matches or something because they're competitive
Channing
guys,
going-
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So they would enjoy that aspect of it.
Channing going through the raid with us for the first time, he was
awesome.
like, he was
It
just
was.
like, this is fucking.
He was like
cool.
enjoying it, and that brought me back to my first time.
and I'm like,
playing
well,
it.
this is when Destiny's its best.
Right.
It's its best when you're playing these raid moments and you're
Yeah.
working together with these problems and then once you do it, you're like,
Right.
we all came together, worked together, and we fucking
Right,
nailed that
and
guy.
for me,
Yeah.
the first time that we completed Leviathan on PC was like I was probably like I don't want to for extent of just exaggerating, like the 100th time that I've beat Leviathan, but it felt so rewarding to
Yeah.
beat the dogs again, to beat this because with him, he was experiencing it for the first time and seeing how excited he was getting and the momentum that he was driving and his energy like made me feel like, oh yeah, we're gonna beat this. Oh yeah, I can't wait to beat that.
Those
you
are
know?
the moments those games are crafted on. We were also 5-manning,
Which
it
is
too, so
also
there was-
incredible.
There was
Yeah.
also the challenge with that.
Yeah, that we were doing it all 5-man.
Just so I can interject here, last night I did Leviathan again. Sorry without you guys. I was up till like 3 a.m.
Look,
doing
it's okay.
this. I have I have a problem now. I really like Destiny and I can't stop playing.
It's not a
Went
problem.
From fucking
Hey,
0 to
you know
60.
you're in an environment where we're all cool with that.
I know. But I gotta tell myself, like, look, I know I was hard on it, but now I'm really loving it. I think it's the
And that's
collecting. I think it's the
okay.
collecting. I'm really into getting all the guns.
Sure.
now.
That's what they want.
And now I'm like, cool. This is a new gun I have. I'm throw that in my bank and
Right.
save that for when I
in
might
your,
need
in
it.
your craft bag.
My craft bag.
Throw it in a craft bag.
So
That's the
anyway,
vault.
we did.
That's the vault, Felix.
We
The
got
vault-
to Callus
The
last
vault is your
night.
craft bag.
The final boss in Leviathan.
Were you running it on Prestige or running it on regular?
Regular, but we did it with 5 men. We had 5 people, and we finished it the first rotation.
Nice.
And they all were like, "Oh yeah, cool. All right, cool." And I was like, "That's the first time I've ever had it." We didn't even like finish the rotation through. We had to jump
Wow.
on. You know, during damage phase.
Yeah, you go.
Sorry,
you go,
people.
You go one
Platform
2, 3, 4.
two.
Yeah.
We made it to the last platform. Well, we got to the second to last platform, finished doing the damage, but you had to like overkill him. You know, you got to
Yep.
like keep
Yep.
putting bullets in him. So we're like, oh, we're not done yet. We got to hop on the last platform to overkill him. And I was
Wow.
like, are you kidding me right now?
Well, they probably all had like
They've
their
done this a
guns, their
million
gear. Like you,
Yeah.
you lay down
This
your
was
rifts and your
Vizzy's crew.
barriers.
Get Vizzy
and-
on our
yeah.
Discord.
Yeah.
He just had his crew. He pulled them
Yeah.
right in, and they were all ready to do this.
But it was also
Yeah.
exciting to hear from his perspective how he was feeling reinvigorated by our excitement too.
Yeah.
Like, cause he's 385 on every character. He's like, he's done with it until Forsaken comes out. Like,
Is
doesn't
he?
need- like,
Oh, Vizzy.
Vizzy.
Sorry.
You know, like, so
Yeah.
he's at the point where like, there might not be much left for him besides like the multiplayer
Yeah, not
aspect
for
of like
him
the
to do.
PvP, right?
Just to screw around, yeah.
But for him to like, he got super excited when we first beat Callus, when we beat Eater of Worlds as a 5-man. Like to see him also feel reinvigorated on a game that he loves, that he was like falling back on because there wasn't as much to do, is also really cool.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I'm definitely back into it, which is great. I've wanted to be back into Destiny for a while. I'm glad that I'm there.
Dude, Destiny Item Manager is something else, though. You guys-
yeah.
you
I
guys use
I
this?
just use Ishtar. I really
I
do
use
because
Ishtar,
because
too.
I don't have the second monitor set up and it's just too
Dude,
annoying.
Just on your computer one day, just go there.
Oh no, I use Dim all throughout D1.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yeah, I've been
Dim's-
using Dim
Dim's
for a
been
long
around a
time.
very long
I
time.
spent one night late in bed just making loadouts.
Yeah.
Just like, what's this gun gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna make this
You know what?
loadout.
You know what Ishtar is better for? In my opinion, it's better for swapping to a ghost that has a perk that you need.
Cool.
Because in Dim, I have to hover over the ghost,
Check
hover
its
over
thing.
the little perk, and wait till it pops up like a split second later.
Right.
I can do a long press in Ishtar, and it has it next to
Right.
whatever the little symbols are.
I mean, and Ishtar just works. It works beautifully. Like I have no reason to use Dim
Right.
except for the loadout. Obviously, in Dim is really nice. And if I had a second monitor, I would probably use it because I have the real estate space. But Ishtar is a great solution if you don't have the ability to do that. It's an app you can download in the App Store. You just have to link it to
Yeah,
your
it's
Bungie
pretty good.
account or your Battle.net account.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm super excited for Forsaken. We're,
too.
We're like
Me too.
2 months away for it.
I know. We're
which
gonna
is-
get
which is great.
the milestones in the summer event into this month too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which you can
We
already
should-
start
we should
tracking.
like fuck around and do that stuff.
We're gonna have to. Like the strike grind and
There's-
the crucible grind are gonna be.
There's a
long.
lot of stuff if we go and take a look at the things that we've achieved on, well, at least for PC, is going to be next to nothing.
Yeah.
Like in terms of things that we can grind for achievement wise, because a lot of it is going to be things that you just need to do by
Collectibles and-
playing,
yeah.
and we just don't have that many hours in it yet. I think the next thing that I'm going to do, which is going to take some time, I'm not quite feeling it yet, is I am going to start a second character soon. I know Neo has already done that.
I'm working on my third.
Yeah, I'll do my second eventually.
I played my Warlock for an hour.
You've got
today.
it bad, dude.
Yeah, you have it real bad. I don't have it that bad.
I don't know
mean,
what's happening to me.
I
Somebody help me.
definitely want to start a second character so I have the ability to get to 385 a little bit sooner. But I feel like I'm doing okay because we still have a while to hit 385 before you
Yeah.
really need to for Forsaken.
And they've also said that the prestige versions of Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars are going to drop 400 gear before Forsaken, and it's the only activities that will give you 400 gear.
Nice, that's awesome.
So I guess 4 or 5 would be max before September with mods.
with mods. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair
Before
point.
Forsaken.
Yep. Those are the only activities that you can do it.
Right, and those are the prestige modes are coming out not right away, right? Though, because there's not. Is there a prestige mode for both of them?
It might be this Tuesday. Possibly.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, I guess more Destiny talk in the future because
Sorry,
Don't
haters.
Don't you worry out there. It's
Sorry.
coming. It's coming.
it'll be
Sorry,
there.
not
No,
sorry.
Felix keeps saying it. This podcast was built on Destiny.
It was. Our very first episode was a Destiny discussion between me and Locke, and our second episode was a Destiny. Wait, and you were the guest, right?
I was the guest. Yeah.
Yeah, and then our second discussion was me, Locke, and Trip having another Destiny discussion.
Menti was the second guest.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about video games
Oh, we didn't?
with him. No, not
Oh.
really.
I have
Not
to go back
barely.
and listen to those old
Oh,
episodes.
do you really want to though?
They're so bad.
So
I
bad.
always think about that, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking put my time into that. I'm
No.
good.
That audio is so
We'll get an
fucking
intern to do it
horrendous.
like 5 years down the road. Make like best of episodes.
Clip all that shit.
Yep.
All right.
Ready for the big topic?
Yeah. What are we running at right now, Mr. Timekeeper?
I'm proud of
just
you
curious.
guys. I'm proud of you guys.
Why?
You guys didn't jump up my ass once for not playing Destiny on my PC.
No,
I mean, I think you should,
You know how I
but-
feel. you know how I feel.
Funny enough, this did come up while we were playing Destiny. We talked about
Talks
like,
about me.
yeah, buddy. We were like, what are the odds of getting Felix with us?
Listen to me right now.
What?
I will buy you.
You're gonna gift my
what?
stream.
This is all look. I've done this with my friends. I've done this with my brother. I know the talk you're about to.
You don't have to do it.
Here's what I'm gonna do for you. Here's what I'm gonna do.
If
for
you can commit to doing it,
What?
I will buy you Destiny on PC and on all of its glory.
You
As a
think it'll
gift to
run
your
on that
stream.
750 over there?
it's an incredibly
GTX
well optimized
750?
game.
And stream it.
I don't think it's a 750 in there.
The graphics
I think
card.
you have a
Yeah, it is.
780 in there.
no
I don't
way.
know.
Really?
Maybe I might have a
I think
780.
he does.
I thought it was
Then
750.
you're good.
I
It's
don't
an older
know.
It's
card, but
inc-
it's a high end card.
Destiny's incredibly well optimized. So
Okay.
yes,
I'm just saying, if you feel like you want to learn mouse and keyboard and you want to be in on the fold, I would. So because I understand buying it again and
How
putting
do
all
I
that
do it?
investment.
Do it in the chair I sit in. What do you, chairs? Do you guys
I
sit in?
can't have you figure
Yes,
out the
it is very
logistics of it
optimized.
yet. I need you to commit to it before I buy you the game.
you
can
can still
figure out your chair
you,
bullshit.
You
later.
could still play with a controller too.
You could play with a controller. You'd be at a severe disadvantage, but you could play with a
Ah,
controller.
that would suck.
Well, in PvP, you'd be at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I
But
just want to. I would want to learn the mouse and keyboard way.
That would be a game that would teach you mouse and keyboard for sure.
In the deep end.
Yeah, because you have no choice.
Yeah.
It's like playing Overwatch. Overwatch was a great game to learn
Do
mouse
it or
and keyboard
do
with.
it or fucking don't.
No, I,
So, you know
I
what, Finn,
literally
just-
would
you
not
just-
play it on anything.
We'll
else
take a
but
look
this.
at the specs. Take a look at the
I
specs.
got him up right here, actually.
No, I meant the specs of his
The
machine.
specs for
Yeah.
my
God,
What's the
computer?
minimum requirement?
A GTX 660
Oh, so even if it has a 750, he's fine.
Wow.
and a really old ass
Fucking
AMD processor.
Look, think of it this way, Felix. If you can get the game to run at 30 fucking frames like it can on the console, you have no change in your experience, but you play with us.
True.
That's bare minimum expectation. It can only go up from there, and it will go up from there.
like you'll probably be able to play it on medium settings at 60 frames per second.
Yep.
With your card.
Probably, yeah.
And medium settings on that is going to look better than your fucking
Smooth ass frame,
console.
smooth ass,
60 frames is going to feel also.
I need.
per second.
I would need a friend for that.
wide. A friend?
A friend to come over and help me.
What? Oh no, we don't have those.
no.
I don't know what. I don't.
No, I would just buy you the game and drop it off in your mailbox.
Let's move on to the next thing because I don't know who this is talking at this table.
I just need you to think about it
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
before I spend money on you.
All right.
Do you guys want to talk about this now?
This non-friend. This
non-friend.
Well, if anything,
Snacks is
you'd
about
want,
to join it.
if
You're gonna be the
anything,
only
you-
one.
If anything, you'd want to wait until they're releasing the thing with the Forsaken as a package,
Correct.
right? That's what. Like.
Or a flash sale, which happens like every other week now. with
Last week,
Destiny.
Destiny 2 was on sale again on Blizzard.
I mean, I would buy it.
It was $10. That's what Snacks reserved for himself.
Oh. Okay.
Just saying, man.
Yeah, look, that's $10, which is 170.
And I'm
you
sure,
add
I'm
on to that.
sure that if we really wanted to, these guys would chip in as well.
Hmm?
'Cause everyone wants to play with you. We miss you, Felix.
Yeah, man. We had some crazy times
bring 'em
raiding.
down memory
dude.
lane.
I
This is
know.
how he
I
gets
know.
it.
Dude, we had some crazy
Yeah.
fucking times raiding,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah, we did.
We did.
You
good
could
shit.
be there again.
Remember trying to do Skolas?
No. I got clips of these. Like, this shit's on my YouTube channel, but like those times when we were playing Trials, dude, and I was fucking losing my shit in the middle of fucking. You remember that one time I did that fucking like sun the
When you
revive.
when you threw the when you were throwing
No,
the
it was
on the
like I
staircase?
revived myself at the end of like it was a sun singer.
Yeah, you revived.
I
Right, right.
sun singed like right seconds before the match was over, and
Right.
I came back and fucking killed everybody.
Oh, you had a really good
Yeah.
revive at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that. It was so much fun. Anyway,
You can have that fun again. Just saying. The fun's not. It hasn't gone anywhere.
oh god,
The fun still exists.
We'll
I
talk.
just think about it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So I didn't mean to throw a wrench in there. So what are we about to unpack
All right.
for the remainder of this episode?
I guess, yeah. So July 4th, a shakeup happened in the industry. And everyone's talking about it now.
you said AreaNet, isn't it?
Arena-
Oh, Arena,
Arena
I'm
Net.
sorry.
Yeah, you're right. It is
Arena
ArenaNet.
Net.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Sorry,
My apologies. My apologies.
just want to fucking
All right.
make sure.
All right.
Not
Arena
crazy. You're
area.
not
it's
crazy. I just misspoke. Yes.
No, he
No, I
misspoke.
called it at the middle of the at the
It's-
beginning of the episode.
it's
I said
fucking Guild Wars
Area
2.
Net.
It's Guild Wars 2 developers. Correct.
It's fucking soccer, Greg. Yeah.
All right. So what happened was what ended up having 2 developers fired started with a Twitter conversation.
Correct.
So this writer on Guild Wars 2, she's a story writer for them, did an AMA on Reddit, on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit. Continuing her AMA, she wanted to put a few things out there on Twitter. And she detailed a bunch of... I feel like I've read so many...
It was a
Recaps
29, I think it was 29 tweet long thread about narrative and how you apply that to an RPG and like the pitfalls of it and what works well and what doesn't work well. Clearly like someone who's talking about her art and a skill that she's good at.
Correct. And this Twitter user who's popular in the community, and he's a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber, and does a lot of Guild Wars 2 content. He's a Guild Wars 2 YouTuber, more or less. Said, however, I slightly disagree. Allow me to input some of my ideas, my thoughts on the matter. And the writer Jessica Price was not a fan of that, and she replied. She retweeted him and pretty much said, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job. And she was, I don't know, do you want to pick up from this? He replied with, so much for an open discussion. I meant no disrespect at all, never did, never will. Neither did I imply I knew better, nor has this anything to do with my gender. Apparently this,
She accused him of mansplaining.
pretty much. And she put like a, this is what female game devs have to deal with, type.
Now, here's where it
She said
already
today I'm being a female game dev. I know this is where we're already jumping over a line.
we're already probably going to have different opinions on all this, and we're probably going to start some real heated discussions. But part of why she felt the need to respond like this is because his 3 tweets where he said, "Let me throw something at you. Let me think about it this way because I think your problem might be this," was at its core about branching dialogue options and how that can help a player feel more in control of a story. And she had that was something that was at the core of her discussion, and she touched on earlier. She's talking way headier concepts, and from her perspective, it seemed like this person was
Like, I know what I'm talking
talking
about.
down or not taking all of her experience into account, whether or not he truly meant that. That's how it was perceived. And I know this is not the first time she's been through an interaction like this, and she's had a lot of outspokenness about how women are treated with really good reason. So I think it just was one of those moments where, you've just been at the end of a long day and something comes in at you sideways and you just you snap.
This guy's fucking telling me, hey,
And-
what I do at my job every day.
And that was
Yeah.
the snap. And the reaction to the snap is that her and a coworker who defended her were let go from her company, from ArenaNet.
This all happened on July 3rd into the 4th. So ArenaNet,
Terrible time for it to happen.
terrible time because they were not at work that day. No one was in the office that day.
It happened. The firing was on July 5th.
Yeah, I was looking for the quote that the CEO came up with.
Wow, they weren't even in the
But-
office.
The whole thing
makes-
was
This is where it gets.
yeah, this
Fucking
is
shaky.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is ArenaNet on July 4th had already deliberated while their doors were closed, that they were like, okay, well, this isn't a good look for us. She's got our name in her Twitter bio. She's talking about how she makes her game, and then she snapped at a community member, and the communities got upset by it. Essentially, they all became inflamed.
Yeah, this is very important that it wasn't just like their Twitter conversation. It was all of the trolls of the internet and all of those that love to see the world burn hopped into an angry mob and was essentially petitioning for something to happen to her because they didn't like that she responded to the community in this way.
The arena had already said they had made their decision to let her go before all that stuff ballooned.
Well, that's just convenient.
I think
both people.
Of course, you say that.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, so this is where the argument from like a policy standpoint is just really messy because they say that they made the decision to do that prior to people from the community, gamers from the community, petitioning for some action to be taken by the company. There are and still are not, to my knowledge, any rules about someone's personal social media account to be employed with this company. Now, from our own employment, we know that we have social media rules, very clear. We know what we can say and what we can't say. There were no rules set for this. Now, a company has the ability to say, they can let you go.
represent our brand this certain way. In
Absolutely,
a public
like everyone has that. You have that entity has that right to make that call, whether or not there are rules or not. But to go so far as into a 24-hour turnaround time with no other action or explanation taken to then just fire her when there are no ground rules to begin with seems very excessive in my opinion. Now, I don't want to say that she did not. In my opinion, she also did lose her cool pretty quickly in this regard. But it seemed very aggressive for them to turn around and say, we are letting them both go. For our
zero
own
tolerance type thing, yeah.
I think the biggest problem, at least from ArenaNet's perspective, or from our perspective at ArenaNet, however you want to frame it, is that the CEO, I forget the guy's name.
I don't know his name.
Something O'Brien.
O'Brien, yep.
His message about this, or his quote about this, is that her comments, he said, her comments were an attack on the community. Which, as an employer, you're not taking your employee's side.
Correct.
And you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Correct.
Regardless of what they may or may have done, this employee was acting and speaking from her experience as a woman in game development and felt she was being belittled, right? And had this conversation outside of work. Got repercussions at work for it. And the work angle was, you attacked our community. This person makes YouTube videos for Guild Wars, so you need to treat them with respect, regardless of what they are throwing at you.
Well, is this dude like a huge influencer for Guild Wars?
I mean, it's Guild Wars, so he can't be huge.
I couldn't tell you.
The issue with throwing this out, right, as a precedent, is that people in this community, and also people on Reddit, then began attacking other female like developers.
That's the part where I just tuned out of the conversation.
They're literally saying to each other in comments, we have the power to get these women fired.
Other women
so
fired.
So they better not
this.
stop smiling.
And it was bots.
Yeah.
You realize that a lot of these
Automated
petitions were
messages
all
and stuff,
bots.
yeah.
They were not actually people saying this. This is some troll somewhere that set up, tens of thousands of bots to make the angry mob look much bigger than it actually was.
And I entirely believe that.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of facets to this.
It absolutely, and it is not an easy. This is
not.
way bigger than just gaming, right?
You've,
This is
you've got
Yeah.
women in games getting attacked, which is a non-negotiable. They are, and they're belittled, and they're not spoken to properly. There's biases everywhere with what is seen as a generally male hobby.
Dominated, yeah.
You have that. You have employers not making it clear to their employees what they expect of them in and outside of work.
Right.
And then just causing repercussions around it. You have this mob mentality of offended men on the internet. And I'm not going to throw people in there. I'm not going to be politically correct about this because it's not. You don't have groups of women saying, fuck that guy, let's get them taken down. As groups of men that are challenged, that feel this stuff.
That's happened. That's happened from the opposite side of the mob too.
I don't think so.
I don't even know.
People screwing up in their work and they're like, okay, let's get this guy fired.
Well, he's saying
I'm talking about
into the context of gaming.
The gaming context conversation
Gaming context,
right here.
okay.
Yeah. Because again, traditionally as a male pastime or a male perceived pastime, like a guys club kind of thing.
That's Nintendo's fault, by the way.
What?
Hold on, you can't
That's
just throw that out.
You can't do that.
As a male dominated kind of environment, a lot of these men feel threatened when things go different. They feel like their characters are being written differently. They feel like they're getting different experiences. If they are, it's a non-issue, and you can only benefit from having more experience and diversity in your writing and your production. But they feel personally attacked by it, and that personally attacked feeling comes out as like this group mob mentality of let's change this back to the way that we want it, and we're going to make whatever needs to happen
Right.
to get that goal. So you have all of these things happening all together.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's
it's a
been
big
a
fucking
lot
mess.
of developers that have come out and against the way that they handled it. Like a lot of different developers, not any AAAs. No, they're not throwing their names into that right now because that would be silly from a
Oh, yeah.
political standpoint. But like the developers of Rust, developers, and there was a list of a few developers that came out and were like, we would stand behind our employees first because we trust our employees. Obviously, we would investigate and we would do what needs to be done, but we wouldn't simply just
Abandon you,
a
yeah.
tweet and say, okay, your personal Twitter account where you engage the community in this way, you're now fired. Right? Like, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it wouldn't have ended in the same result, right? Maybe it does. Maybe it still ends in the same result and she loses her job. But I think there's a way in which a company can handle this type of action, and if it gets to the same result, it gets to the same result.
I heard a lot about a lot of companies after this all went down. They brought in all their employees and they were like, "Hey, we want to talk about how we handle online harassment and how we can avoid this kind of situation."
Yeah.
But is it fair to totally ignore how she responded on Twitter?
No, I
to
think
this
she
guy?
overreacted.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure because
but I think
she was honestly I think she was needlessly hostile. Like there's a way to like nip this kind of stuff in the bud. All right, you know what I'm talking about from my personal perspective.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's easy.
But I'm like,
it's easy to say,
hey, man,
oh, no big deal. But
hey,
no,
but yeah, no big deal. But you don't know what we deal with at our job at a regular basis when we do our jobs.
I think she was
know?
hostile. I don't think she was needlessly hostile. I always think of it like I can't possibly have the perspective that she has as someone dealing with this much vitriol and anger in her, just probably in her everyday life. The shit she probably just gets sent on the regular that doesn't get talked about or mentioned. And it's got to be an insane mental task to deal with that.
Sure.
And I really can't fault her for how she reacted. And honestly, I read the second response as the guy as hostile in a different way, as that. Oh no, I was just I didn't mean it like that. I was just kidding. That phrase, "I was just kidding," takes away any kind of like.
You didn't say that.
No, but the context was there. Like not.
You said I meant no disrespect at all. I didn't imply that I knew better.
That's. I'm putting that all under the.
Nor has anything
the
to do with
umbrella.
gender. Never did, never will. Okay.
Yeah, I'm putting under the umbrella of "I was just kidding," because when you throw that phrase out there, you always throw it out after the fact. As
I didn't mean to offend you.
right,
Sure.
Which is the damage is already done one way or the other.
Was what he said like really that offensive though? Like,
As someone who just spent a lot of time detailing the minutia of writing characters, to have like day one character building thrown at you, like as if someone didn't even read what you wrote and just wanted to put their opinion on top of it, it's probably annoying.
Sure.
Again, she snapped. It's a snap, right? I'm just saying I get it.
She wasn't out there because of the company. The company didn't ask her.
No,
I
this
thought
is
you
her
said
personal-
she came.
no, this is
she
her-
came off an AMA.
Yep.
A Reddit AMA.
Yeah. She came
Was
off
that
of
like scheduled by the company?
No, the Guild Wars 2 subreddit scheduled it, but they're not run by the company.
Oh, right.
She
They're
just
not part
as-
of it.
as a
That's
writer.
a community forum.
She's just trying to support her position in the community.
I guess so. AMAs are fun ways to get insights on industries and people and all that cool stuff.
It's two-sided, right? Like, she should also, as someone that is probably dealing with this, consistently understanding that sending out a tweet is going to mean that you're going to get a reaction back. Regardless of the reaction that you want, you're going to get a reaction back. So that needs to be the mindset to start, right?
Well, to be fair, free speech can have consequences.
Of course.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is like if you're going to send out a series of tweets outlining what you do and not expect criticism, right? Like you're already
wasn't
at a
asking
loss,
for it, right,
right? But like in the same regard, her doing that, and regardless of the action that she took, which again, I think she snapped. Does she have the right to snap? Absolutely. Does she deal with more shit than I will ever have to deal with in my life? Yes. That shouldn't make a difference for her employer unless
Right.
she were to break some form of condition in a clause of her contract or rules or
Yeah,
regulations.
I like
Because-
what you're saying. I like that you're saying that like there should be some rules in place, and there weren't, and they just fucking fired her.
I think a lot of companies don't know how to handle
Right.
public-facing employees on their company, representing their company.
And she's
Well,
a pretty big face of
She
Guild
is,
Wars.
yeah. And I think here's the other thing that we're at a crossroads with, that like the reason why we're dealing in this particular situation is because the gaming industry has literally snorted mainstream in the past 5 years. Like we have not this
Mainlined it.
like this this hobby has not been a mainstream hobby. You wouldn't have hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers as a video gamer before.
Yeah, it's,
so
it's definitely fallout
so-
of Drake playing with Ninja.
well, sure. I mean, that has something to do with like
That was a
Ninja.
huge
Ninja
moment.
is
that was
a
a watershed moment.
Product of that.
yeah, but like, I guess what I'm getting at is like the film industry, which is a bad example of this because literally like bias and
Harvey
harassment. But
Keitel.
like,
Not
but like
Keitel, not Harvey
you
Keitel.
still have
Harvey
you still
Weinstein.
have some form of structure in Hollywood and in other forms of media because that platform has existed and been mass marketed outside of what the gaming industry has.
The gaming
done thus
industry's
far.
been
So,
around what 40 years?
You know, right?
We're in our infancy.
So if you had a producer on some TV show do this, right? Like what would the
Okay.
fallout be?
Great example. Roseanne Barr gone. See ya.
Okay.
Although
Fire
her show's lucky though
They're
because
bringing
they
it back. Yeah.
well because they were like, well, what about the staff? What about all the other people? Just because of her
Fuck
screw
her.
up.
But here's the other thing.
Shit
That
was racist, though.
That was
That was
blatantly racist.
Blatantly.
Side effect of Ambien.
Yeah,
So
racism.
like
Is that what they
right in
said?
the
that?
box, man.
She-
Right on the
she-
box, man.
She said it. Yeah.
she claimed it.
She said it was a side effect of
Well, no.
fucking-
So there's we can get. into
We'll
this
tell you
after.
this later.
I didn't hear
but-
that. That's just funny to me.
Yeah.
But that's also very different, right? But what I'm getting at is like a producer that has signed up to be a part of a TV show or movie may be told this is what your public facing profile or how you can interact outside of your job. These are the rules that you have into play. I'm sure that if anyone were to sign to be a part of a TV show, there's plenty of clauses that they need to sign.
There were fucking
right?
rules when I was a production assistant on live TV shows.
My point.
Behaviors
So-
that I could and could not engage in.
Yes.
Fucking shit I could wear when I was like walking down to get a goddamn hot dog from fucking Grace Papaya in New York. Don't wear your fucking badge down the street. Like,
so when we're skyrocketing into mainstream to a point that is very different than it ever has before, and you have influences of advertisers and different platforms like Twitch and who's owned by Amazon, and you have like it's a different time for video gamers, and it's a different time, to Tripp's point, that it's been a platform, or not a platform, it's been a hobby for statistically probably white males, right? So like what then
Nintendo's fault.
look at our
Podcast, Emerging Gamer Podcast.
White
Like
male.
and subscribe.
So-
Smash that follow button.
So like that's why we're at this point, because now it's in front of us all, and you get
Right.
reactions like
I'm sorry. Can I just? Why do you think it's Nintendo's fault?
oh god.
I'm sorry. But
Why
keep,
did you?
keep it brief. Keep it like under a minute if you can.
No, I was just gonna say it's factual that Nintendo's marketing attempt during the '80s was to
Young boys.
to
Rad.
counteract Barbie.
Okay. To what?
Counteract Barbie. They wanted a product for boys.
Wasn't that like GI Joe?
No. I'm just saying they wanted to compete with Barbie in the marketplace because it was a toy that everyone bought, and they wanted to grapple in on.
So their marketing was just focused on young.
They focused on boys, but the problem is they became one of the most influential consoles in the formative years of video games.
Okay.
And to this day, gaming at that point, if you look at all the advertisements, they were all like boys,
yeah.
boys,
Playing
boys,
and
no girls.
Here's-
Gaming didn't have to be
A boys
a
thing.
boy thing,
but this wasn't
it didn't have to have a gender.
Yeah.
all on the shoulders of Nintendo. everything,
Yeah.
everything from like formative toy
Yeah,
years.
Sega was like the
was
rad.
very,
No, I mean, he's
But
just
Nintendo
segregated.
was setting the tone because it was a Pepsi Coke war, and Nintendo was
And there
winning.
was and we're not like at this point it's very easy to like point the finger. I'm sure their intention was not to be biased, right?
Or
But,
not
like,
not to isolate
but
girls.
it's
but,
this
yeah.
is
I'm
this is
just
the
making a
product of
joke,
what happened,
but, like-
right? Like this is what happened. This is where we are, right? And that's why you have like She Snaps talks about it all the time. The bias that she deals with as a popular streamer,
All the
right?
time.
She Snaps is not.
So-
yeah. She's
so-
a person. She's
right.
a person.
Yes. But
She's a Chicago.
We're talking about someone
She's
snapping on Twitter.
right,
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mind of Snaps is her new. Her new
Mind of
Twitter
Snaps
handle.
is her new
Yeah.
Twitter handle.
whatever.
there we go.
Roll
All the
Mind of Snaps.
clarification.
What happened to
That's,
Roll
no,
One?
that's based on a mental health podcast
Her
that she
podcast,
just started.
yeah. I
Called
saw the
Mind of
tweets for it.
Snaps. Yeah.
And we know from all of us watching her streams and following her on Twitter and things like that, like we know that exists. So when you open it up to the larger gaming community, and we have one example of someone that we know of, right? It's very easy on the outside to say, oh well, she shouldn't have lost her cool over Twitter. Well, I mean, is she at fault for it? There's partly her fault, but it's very easy to be like, well, she should have just not responded that way.
Can I read a tweet that someone tweeted at her?
Sure.
After this happened.
Oh God.
It's really bad. So honestly, like I'm going to say this very seriously. Trigger warning out there. There's some words in here that are talking about violence and especially towards women. But this is the extent of what she's getting because of her decision to push back against someone putting an opinion at her, right? But it's important to hear this stuff because if we don't hear it, we don't think that it's seriously a problem. I want to bludgeon the fuck out of your skull and fuck your dead body. I want to kill your pets too if you have any. How is that okay for any human to receive?
I don't know.
It's definitely not.
Right.
That's awful.
That's where we're at.
It's so crazy that when I wanted to get back to this point when we were talking about it, but you have an event like Guardian Con that raises money for charity and does all of this good, and then on the flip side to the same hobby, this hatred from some, right? Like that person is in need of some serious help, right? Whether it's a little boy, a little girl, whomever it is, a 40-year-old man that's just angry at the world. It's just crazy to see the heads and tails of one industry, right? Like we go off a week where we were literally running a hospital for children for a day because of the video games that we play and charities from it. And then you go to something like this where someone could actually say that and send it to someone and probably meant it. Whether there be any action taken on it, but they meant those words, right? It's crazy. So when you think about like what small deed can we do as a small community or as a small streamer to push back on that, that's all you really can do. We can't change that person's outlook or opinions. There's nothing that you could do about it, right? Like it's always going to exist. There's always going to be trolls. What extent those trolls will go, who knows? But like, what do you do as an individual amongst this broader community to push back on that type of action? Because you're never going to be able to control it, unfortunately.
Digging deeper into Jessica though, about
Dig deep.
sorry about this, guys, but she does have a history of being like kind of toxic. She did get fired from her job working at Pathfinder. She worked on D&D stories. And she got fired for a similar community interaction there as well. When John Bain died in May, Total Biscuit. Guys familiar with him?
Yes.
I do, yeah. Remember when
You brought him up, and I forgot about him
She
again.
said the kindest thing I can say is I'm glad he's no longer around to keep doing harm.
Okay. So what we're like?
Yeah,
There's
I'm
a
not
ton
familiar
of
with
context
this
here that we
interaction.
just
What kind of
won't have.
Yeah.
What's that?
We don't know. Maybe she met that guy somewhere and he was a dick to her.
No, there was
I don't know him.
There was a period of time in 2014 when the Gamergate epidemic was coming up. John Bain came out and pretty much said, "Yeah, I think we should have ethics in games journalism." And then everyone at that time, the trolls were coming out and they were making it sexist and misogynistic, and those things kind of came to surface. So everyone saw Total Biscuit as like kind of a leader of that movement, and then he instantly backed away and said, "Hey, this is no longer what I wanted out of this. I just wanted people to be accountable for their words online. That's all."
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know
long
anything
story.
about that,
So
the
in
context of that interaction.
In any situation, it comes down to maybe she didn't have enough context. Maybe he didn't put out, like context is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough of it until you get more goddamn information. And most of the time that information comes to you firsthand.
Why
from a
say you're
primary
glad
source.
someone's dead though? I don't understand.
Well, why say you want to fuck someone's dead
Well,
body?
that's clearly just a fucking
But I'm
asshole
saying,
being
like,
an asshole.
like that.
She's a professional individual working at a company
I see what you're saying.
doing work. You know what I mean?
Sure. But
No,
online, they're both people expressing their opinions, and
Yeah.
what happens to them in their personal lives it needs to be accounted for, and we need to all be on the same page about how that's accounted for. Mm-hmm. I think is really one of the biggest points of all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just say that, like, I would assume that came for a specific reason. I don't believe she solely said that, like, the same way that this person sent that tweet to her.
No.
The context in which why she said it, I don't think we would know. You have no idea what interaction she had with him over the course of the time that he was alive, right? He could have overall been a great dude that did something awful to her. It doesn't change the fact that, like, he was loved by a bunch of people. It doesn't change the fact that you as an individual may have loved him. I'm not saying you do or you don't, but, like, it doesn't change the good that he did for the gaming community as a whole. But the reason why she said that, I would assume, based off of who she is.
To be fair, she's not the only one that made comments about him like that. Total biscuit about it.
Now, a lot of people just don't. They just don't approach Twitter the way I approach Twitter, or the way I see.
How could they? They just don't know.
No,
They don't get it.
They don't have my context. No, the way I see Twitter. Okay, I specifically see Twitter as a soapbox on Fifth Avenue that I'm standing on talking. Now, on Fifth Avenue, that's a busy street. There's a lot of shit going on there.
People walk by all the time.
People walk by all the time, and most of them, because I'm a crazy fucker, just ignore me, right? Because I'm on the soapbox like a crazy man. But if I start saying certain things with certain words that people tune their fucking ears into, the next thing you know, this person says to this person, says to this person, says to this person, and suddenly there's a motherfucking crowd around my soapbox. And then if I continue to say crazy shit, the next thing you know is it's a fucking whole block and a whole street and then all of New York, right?
I like that metaphor.
So you really got to think about that every time you're going into the Twitter forums. And this is a tip for anyone who's watching, who's a streamer or anything like that.
Hot tip, you guys.
You really need to realize that Twitter is a public. It's a public. In media theory classes that I took in college, we talked about what's public. And there's different levels of public. There's broad public, national public. There's local public. How public is Facebook versus Twitter? Well, Twitter is super ass public. It's the biggest fucking public you're gonna
Super
fucking
ass
have.
public, baby.
It is you literally.
Wish I could start counting how many times you're going to say public from the very beginning.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's you standing in broad open, screaming at the top of your fucking lungs.
You nailed the analogy. You don't have
And
to keep going.
if you say anything in that, you need to expect people to respond fucking immediately.
Sure, you absolutely do.
Every time.
Absolutely.
I'm
do.
just saying,
Everything you put there. I mean, we even made a mistake at one point. Remember that a couple weeks ago or months ago?
it was last year.
I put something on the Emergent Gamer Twitter. I retweeted one of us, or
Yeah.
it
I was involved in a discussion.
and it was
about
involved in
something,
a
yeah.
discussion that wasn't appropriate for the brand of Emergent Gamer.
Well, it was also, to that same point, taken out of context. You're not
Right.
you're not retweeting the whole
You
conversation.
retweeted like the last thing I said.
Right. So to your own point,
Yeah.
being a part of something like that, you don't know the context of that tweet.
Totally not.
Right. So but I get your comparison point of, like, how is it okay for her to say that? Look, I guess from a moral standpoint,
All I'm
it's really
saying
not,
is, if
right?
you put yourself online and you conduct your behavior in a certain way,
Sure.
then you're going to attract people of that caliber.
Sure.
In some cases.
Sure.
So if I go online and I'm just going to be a vitriolic dickhead all the time, and adding like people with high follower counts and start being assholes to them,
Sure.
I'm going to gather a group of people that are probably of like mind and just as vitriolic.
But is two examples of that versus how many tweets does she have really say that that's what she's actively
No.
doing on her Twitter account? If we're talking about her specifically, if you're talking broadly, then yeah, I agree.
Right.
Like if you get what you
you
put
give.
in, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So, but to her, sure. Like, okay, is this I wouldn't even say it's a trend. She calls one dude out for whatever reason and now does this. That's not a trend if you looked at how many tweets she probably has in her interaction as a whole, right? But like, if that's the mindset you have going into this public forum, then that's what you're going to gauge. The reason why you pass by some crazy motherfucking dude on a soapbox, like around a bunch of other crazy motherfuckers around him, is because only the crazy is hearing the crazy.
Right.
So now all you have is a bunch of wild motherfuckers on the New York street, all not wearing pants, surrounding one another because they align with what that person's saying.
There is a march and like a bike ride, I think, like that in New York.
There is a pantless. Well, we do. I think.
Or the
I think
naked
Philly has a
bike ride?
Naked run,
naked,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Philly's a naked run.
It's not a naked run. I think it's a naked bike. It doesn't matter.
bike
Naked
ride.
bike.
It doesn't matter. So I just think, but this does set a tone for the gaming industry, and
Yes.
as shitty as it is for this to happen to individuals, it's going to, the outcome will hopefully be for the better. Whether that means that rules are set up for developers so they know where they stand, or where this doesn't happen again in this way. Like the only time things get better is when, unfortunately, some event happens in a negative way and we learn from it. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, next week someone doesn't say something on Twitter and then someone gets fired for no reason.
I
but-
definitely don't think either of those two employees should have gotten fired.
No, I mean, and like I said,
Definitely
if
not.
if there were steps taken and the end result was the same, I think it would have been different from the outside looking in. If we knew, like, okay, well, investigated in-office behavior and found that it is a trend, right? She yells at people all the fucking time, right? She loses her cool all the time, whatever. Like, okay, that makes sense. Versus, like, okay, you on your random stage, right? Your random soapbox saying something as an individual, now losing your job when there are no regulations. Like I said, if there was a code of conduct or regulations, it would be, in my opinion, it would be different.
And that would be based on the company themselves leveraging how valuable this Guild Wars, like, outside extraneous, like, influencing community can be, like.
I would assume.
And I think that's what they were caving to.
I would
They were
assume their
caving
thought
to the
process.
public.
They're worried that their game,
okay,
which
we
is
have
already not,
well, whatever. We don't want
Yeah.
to shit. Actually, we could shit on them if we want. Whatever.
I'm not shitting on the game.
This is
I'm
our,
just
this
saying,
is our
like,
soapbox.
Hey, I bought it in
It is
2012.
true.
Just let you know.
I bought it as well a long time ago, but
Yeah.
but maybe they're
but, like,
worried about their own stake in the community.
Sure, but like, to what extent?
Because now
Like,
what they did was they looked.
well,
like
maybe they knew more
alienated
about
Who
themselves
wants to
from-
work for that company? Do you want to work for that company? No, I ain't writing shit for that company.
People have said
Whatever.
that it feels real bad in there now for people that
Yeah.
are currently working there.
I bet it's like
They feel like they don't know
There's
what's
a
coming,
heavy
coming
weight
around
on
the
the
corner.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're going to be reaching out to people on Twitter. You guys want to write our next narrative? Because we got fucking no one left to write it.
you guys are assholes to our writers.
Yeah.
No one wants to go work there. Someone's going to go work for another small developer that stood up against the way that they handled it.
Yeah.
And
And I think the biggest, not the biggest, because they're all very big discussion points. One of the worrying trends about this is like invoking the mob to do your bidding, the internet mob.
Yeah.
This is not the first time
dark
we've seen this.
bidding
It
on the
happens fucking
internet.
all the time from people that feel like they deserve something that they don't get. Look at the history of Bungie and people that feel wronged by what happened with Destiny, like personally wronged because they made some changes in the game. That's one small example.
Look at Star Wars.
And look at fucking Star Wars.
oh my god,
I don't want to look. I don't want to look at Star Wars. I don't want
It's
to look
the
at it.
same fucking thing.
By the way, Movies with Mikey does a great thing called In Defense of the Last Jedi. It's amazing. Movies
But you
with Mikey.
posted that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
watch it. If
I
you
mean, I
haven't.
think The Last Jedi
then-
is probably the
Can
the
you
perfect
put that in the
example of
Discord
this.
again? I'll
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah, and then
Because-
he posted one by another dude that's also amazing, like about defending why The Last Jedi is a good movie. Like, it's
I mean,
so cool.
specifically that we're talking about like people getting fired or not getting fired, like getting
Changing the
harassed,
outcome.
harassed online. They're involved because of their involvement in The Last Jedi and because
Yeah.
someone had an idea about their role.
No,
in the movie.
what's her name? The girl who
Rose Tika.
Rose Tika. Yeah,
That had to leave Twitter.
It's like
It's gonna leave Twitter.
abhorrent that
It's
that had to
fucking
happen.
Stupid.
But
It is.
here's where we're
But
at.
to be fair, Jessica invoked her mob on this guy. I'm just saying. She retweeted his tweet and said, "Hey, look what this guy just did. Look what this guy said about me."
Oh yeah, that's
I'm just
that's
saying.
another thing.
You have
Yeah.
to watch your own behavior.
you
As
do?
much as there are the toxic assholes out there that are going to say they're going to, do all those mean things to you.
And like, is
online.
her soapbox like
but
thousands
I'm
upon
just saying,
thousands
like
of
it's
followers?
easy. It's
like,
easy to
too.
be like
I didn't even
that
see
is
her
the
Twitter.
asshole. Those are the assholes saying those awful vitriolic things. But you can't just turn around and say, "Hey, look, you did the same thing too. You took all your followers and you put this guy on blast." She retweeted.
Sure, I know what you're
response.
saying.
Yeah, quote, but everybody quote tweets.
Sure.
Like, we quote tweet all the time. I'm just saying, like,
Right.
it's different between her saying this guy's a fucking asshole, and he may not have been an asshole or not meant anything that she perceived.
Mm-hmm.
But then people are literally on Reddit saying, let's get together and get these women fired.
Right.
That's a very stark difference.
She should not have the ability to quote retweet someone and then that be because that's the outcome.
But then
you know what I mean? Like,
but then if her mob jumps on this guy, then does that make it any better?
I don't think.
but did her mob do
happened.
anything?
Yeah, it go through the whole Twitter thread. There were people at both sides' throats.
Well, when you throw something like that out, you're gonna have discussion, and that's
Yeah.
the point. You're gonna have a conversation back and forth. But she didn't say everyone
Hey,
that
get this
follows
guy
me,
down. No, they
find out
never
where he
do.
lives, fucking get him fired from his job.
No,
he's an asshole.
No.
Like
no, but they never do
but
that.
that did happen towards her.
Right.
People said, "Let's get her fired. Let's get these other women fired. Let's
Damn,
get people."
I must have missed all that. I must have missed all that. And I've
For,
been
like,
following this for like a week
massive
and a half,
amounts
too.
of form letters being sent out to women in like to companies of women in gaming.
You're right.
Like
they fucked up and they it said like hashtag female dev or whatever,
percent sign any
which is a
female dev.
placeholder in a program.
Like
Yeah.
this was the like
Damn.
It
this
just
was the
it's
spark that
it's
blew
emboldened
up.
emboldened behavior. We've seen it like with people that are super passionate about Trump. Too.
Look. When I say those things, I don't want you guys to think I'm like attacking Jessica. For
You're a
this.
devil's advocate. Don't worry about
I'm
it.
just trying to look at it from a point of view where I'm like, hey, we can't just like Jessica's the victim here. You know, she got
No,
fired.
sure.
Like you
You're-
can't just. I'm trying to be as openly objective as possible.
The show is
to
not
the
a show.
situation.
It's not a
Yeah.
debate. It's not a discussion unless we're talking about all viewpoints.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I
fine
don't
with
think
that.
she should have got fired, but I also think, you know, I'm just look. I don't want
There's-
to walk away from this table and be like, oh, Neo's such a fucking.
No, I was definitely
Yeah.
going to do that
Yeah.
for sure.
I was thinking about
Yeah,
that.
we're doing that for
jerk-off.
other reasons, dude. We're not doing it for this reason.
I was
No, no,
definitely gonna do
misogynistic
that.
bastard.
No.
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying and the benefit of.
I'm worried about that when I open my mouth. Every time I open my mouth now. Just
Here's the thing.
because man, I could say the fucking wrong thing.
Look, you're
And-
worried about being level-headed,
Yeah.
which is really the point that we're trying to make to this whole thing.
Sure.
As a person myself, when I talk about this kind of stuff, I sometimes can't take on biases out of my point of view, but that's just going to be me. Like that's fine.
No, I think it's everyone. You naturally defend, like
You're always defensive.
bias is we're all biased. We all are. You try and not be biased in your day to day for whatever reason, but naturally you will defend. In an instant, you will naturally like go towards this white male that made this comment because you align with that because that's what you are. So it's hard to not have this natural bias because we grow up with it. It's just a part of society. And it's not saying that we're all bad people, but it's natural for the women on Twitter to defend Jessica and the men on Twitter to defend blah blah blah, whatever the fuck his name is.
YouTuber.
It doesn't mean that like I don't defend him and I try and stay objective as well, but the bias is just there. It's innate at this point.
I used to get drunk and like walk across Center City late at night at like 2:30 in the morning. Never thought twice about it. And then I was talking to this girl that I went to school with. And so I got drunk and walked across Center City at 2:30 in the morning, and she goes, "I could never do that." And then I was like, "Why?" Center City at 2:30 in the morning. She's like, "Are you kidding me? Look, I'm a woman and I'm walking across Center City 2:30 in the morning."
Well, but you're like a 6'2" big dude.
Yeah, like
with a beard.
It was like this was like this
Never crossed your mind.
This was a moment for me where I was like, "Yeah, it's not possible. There's no
That's-
reason why anyone
yeah.
would think that's terrifying."
That's what I was saying earlier. Like it's perspective that we could never have.
It's true.
We would
we would
never
never
understand.
know- no,
just
we
the
wouldn't.
fear of like walking down the street.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's true.
But
And that
she
informs
said
so
shit
much
that
of how you
every
act and
time
think
she's
and-
walking
and
down the
exist in
street,
your
like
life.
this friend of mine, she said every time I'm walking across the city at night, I'm worried that something's
So
going to happen.
and when you bring an industry that was not in the mainstream into the mainstream in a time when this is the conversation, right? This equality is the conversation. It's just hard for an industry that has been in the backseat and has been dominated by men and white men on
And
top of that.
think
right?
about the
So-
ripples that this causes too. Maybe girls that wanted to get involved in the game industry look at this and go, you know what? I'm not going to touch that. I'm not wanted there. Which is like a side effect of what some of these more extreme people want. They don't want like a female voice in a lot of these things. And it creates these moments and these like actions that impact things for years. You know, this perception of the industry and its acceptance. Like you were saying earlier, Locke, like it's such a crazy dichotomy to have this like vitriol and this anger and this moment, when on the other hand, we just had a literal homemade charity event through gaming raised $3 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Yeah.
Like it
Wild.
just the polarizing nature of this hobby is kind of insane with where we're at right now. But like what's going on in the world ties into it, the way people are communicating with each other, the internet communicating, it's bringing a lot to a head. So it's important to I don't know, be calm and cool and be,
No, I think-
be empathetic. I think is important.
I think Neo's point is like you have to remain objective. You have to try and remain objective. But then more
I sit
importantly,
in my position as like a white dude playing video
Sure.
games since
we
I
all
was
do
a
it.
kid, you know?
We absolutely all
But-
do it. But I think like remaining objective and then doubling down on what actions can I take, right? Whatever that means. How do I interact with my community on Twitter? How do I interact on social media in general? What does my platform look like on Mixer or Twitch?
Am I
Like,
being inclusive? Am I excluding people?
like your actions are the things that you can control, right? Like I'm not going to change the way that someone else acts, because if I attack them in that way, I am no better. If I simply say the way you are acting is wrong, it is just going to make them act worse, because we're not listening.
Yep.
All we're trying to do is push our own way of thinking on someone, and that does not work. So what actions are you taking as an individual that will inspire others to do the same exact thing? And through that modeling of the behavior, how does that change and shift the industry? So how does Ninja cleaning up his act so he can be seen by more kids affect the industry 5-10 years down the road, where he's looked at someone that was a positive influence on the community, and look what was spawned because of it? How does someone like Dr. Lupo or Broman or someone like that is a good person, what actions are they taking that is going to shift and change the industry?
I think that's what you can do. You just got to be the best that you can for what you can control.
Especially when you become more of an influencer.
That's the thing. It just being
But it doesn't-
being good.
Being aware
Being a
of
good-
your own influence.
But it
as
does.
well.
But it doesn't matter. Like Broman has been doing this. Goth has been doing this when there were 5 people watching, right? Like, sure, it's important when you have the platform. What are you using the platform that you have for? But like, it doesn't matter if you're acting this way only because people are watching. Well, then that's a problem. You're a sociopath. But like what actions are you taking every single time you tweet? What is your mindset? Like, how are you self-reflecting?
Yeah, look at the
it's
micro.
very important.
Like, imagine if someone didn't know anything about the gaming universe, but they said, "I'm going to look at Felix Hergood's Twitter as an
Say
example."
the micro or the macro?
The micro.
Micro would be close.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Imagine someone said, "I know nothing about gaming, but I want to see what this is like. I want to see how people are to each other, what the world is like, just any aspect of gaming, any facet of it." And they go to your Twitter as an example. Not saying you specifically, anybody, right?
Yeah.
How does that person reflect their hobby? How do they reflect gaming? Because someone who is new and has no perception of it, that's what they're going to see. It's going to be the first thing. And then you can't change that.
I should clean it up.
You can't change that perception.
Well,
Right. But it's not
I'm
about that.
just
It's just
kidding,
about
I'm just
thinking in that.
Been
in that
yelling at
mindset.
Neil Druckmann a lot, dude.
Maybe you
But
should-
you're doing it in a fun way. You're not like threatening to break into his house.
When I was live, I
Again,
did.
this was not. This was not.
That wasn't directed
this wasn't
at
a
you.
veiled direct to you. I'm
was
just saying.
just kidding.
Think about people that are new and what they see. Look at the outsider's perspective, which is what. Think about how
One of
games
these
are.
da- one of these days,
Think about
I'm
how
gonna-
games
I'm
are
gonna-
reported.
One of these
on.
days, I'm going to meet that guy, and he's going to punch me in the mouth.
He's like, I just heard what you said about me.
Did you hear my last point though,
Yes.
Mr. Druckmann?
Yeah.
Think about how the reporting happens about games.
Yeah.
Because it's what is the loudest. It's what gets shouted about.
Yeah, and then you get like Forbes picking it up, and you get all these mainstream articles picking it
They're
up.
the
and
best,
it just
man.
snowballs.
I love those guys.
Are they the best though?
Forbes, they're amazing. Forbes Gaming, those guys
Really?
are all great.
Yes,
Read
honestly,
their articles.
No, seriously. It's crazy how well written their Destiny 2 stuff is for a long time.
You're
Yeah, Forbes
blowing my
Gaming.
mind right now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's
it's
so
really
good.
random.
They also have a podcast that's so awesome, and it's not Forbes. It's not called Forbes. It's like called something else.
Forbes Gaming division.
No.
Anywho, we're spiraling.
We are spiraling.
We are. We're
So
coming.
this was 173.
Look, I
This
try to be the
was
best
a
person
show.
I am on Twitter, and if you go on my Twitter feed right now, you're gonna see me in a bra, and I can promise you that.
Forbes
I
Overworld.
loved your
Your
reply.
yeah,
your
your
reply
response
was
was-
probably
I
the
loved
best trip.
You'll get to know them all through that. All the writers.
Send me a
Don't
link.
worry,
Send me a
just-
link to
just
it.
throw that phone in my
Forbes
face.
Overworld.
You could like
Did you-
share
did-
it via
did you
text
like that?
message or something. Your reply to his bra tweet was probably my favorite moment thus far. Of
I
2018.
didn't even think about that
like
too.
Okay.
like this is a low key Neo fucks tweet.
Yeah.
Like that
This
was
is low-
so
Hey guys,
good.
guess what? I have sex.
So good.
Dude, I did not even think about that either. I
Anyway.
didn't.
This was 173. Thank you for listening to us rant on a pretty big topic.
Yeah.
And thank you guys
Yeah.
for engaging in the conversation. I
It's
appreciate it.
an important conversation to have, and I
Yeah.
encourage all of you out there to have it as well. Even internally, think about how you act and how you treat this hobby that we all love.
There will probably be some more Destiny conversation
Yeah.
in the weeks to come.
Probably.
Maybe some ESO. Maybe Felix Herga will be playing Destiny. You never know what can happen week to week.
Yo,
but,
look, this
I
coming next
literally,
week,
I
you may
literally
find
said to
things
you,
differently.
Felix, that it would make me the happiest I've ever been in my entire
I would
life.
be so happy as well. Anyway, we'll see what can happen.
This is a good time of the summer because there's like nothing coming out yet. The September's the biggie,
right.
so we got lots of time to fuck around and do whatever. You know what I mean?
So we could
Before
get him up there.
Spidey gets here, you know what I'm saying?
He's got a lot.
Are
he
you
hasn't.
dipping
Have
for
you
Spidey?
have you completed Leviathan?
yes.
No, he's not.
Have you even done Leviathan?
Get back to it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
That's
I
the
can't.
raid.
raid.
Okay,
It's the
we'll
raid.
stop this right now because we'll get out of control. But yes, this
Be
is my
another
point
20
exactly.
minutes.
Look,
Destiny
here's-
discussion.
Anyway.
here's my problem. September 4th, Forsaken. September 7th, Spider-Man.
Got to gear up in 3 days.
All
baby.
I heard was September 4th, Forsaken.
And then
September
nothing
7th,
else.
more Forsaken.
More Forsaken.
And then sometimes when my friends aren't online,
Look,
Spider-Man.
that
Is what I heard.
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
what I-
have
that's
to.
what I heard
I'm
too.
gonna have to divide my time.
That's fine.
I'm
You divide your time.
And
You-
I'm so sorry.
But here's the thing.
so sorry.
You shouldn't be. Because
Look.
there's a time when we come together and we do group events, and there's times when you don't need to be grinding. And if you have something else that you'd rather play instead of grind, just when your light level's below Trip and I, don't be upset.
Here's
That's
what
all.
here's what I'll also say. 95.5 is also division. So do one level in Spider-Man, the rest of the week you're playing Destiny. That's still dividing your time.
This is true.
I'll work it out.
I know
sure
you
you
will.
will, yeah.
I know you will.
I will.
You will not see me. I told these guys you will not see me next week, unfortunately. But the week after, I will be back. Next week, I have some things that are happening in my personal life, but I'll be back on the week after that.
We got Flower, Snacks, or Diamond to come in next week.
Someone can hop on. Yeah, absolutely. Follow me on Twitter. That's where my soapbox is. It's lock_key. Just follow me there. Anytime I go live on Mixer, which is the platform that I stream to, which is very rare these days. But if I go live, I will tweet it out. So just follow me on Twitter. Thank you all for listening to my voice. Oh, and seeing my face.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah,
That's
Speak
going to
crazy.
be on the tubes, man.
Gonna lead into that by saying
the
every Sunday
YouTubers.
Every Sunday now, sometime between 6:30, 7:30, hopefully in that hour-ish, we can get started. We will be live to Mixer and to Twitch for the foreseeable future. Emergent_gamer are the handles there. This is Trip Zero. I am Trip Zero TV on everything. Find me anywhere at that. I'm active very much on Twitter, but I will be streaming again hopefully this week. I did a big move, as you guys may or may not have known, got everything set up now, and I'm ready to kind of dive back into that world. So hopefully I can get the other life shit sorted out and do more streaming, because I do miss it. I miss gaming and then being involved in that gaming.
interaction.
But it's been cool with the Discord and with the Destiny stuff.
No, they were
So-
they were talking in my stream about your lack of streaming.
Oh yeah.
They were like, "What happened to Trip Zero? Is he streaming ever
did.
again?"
I
And
gotta
I was
get
like,
back.
"We like him," and I was
Gotta
like,
get back on that
yeah,
Mixer. I'll be
he's
on
gotta
Mixer
come
when
back.
I do stream.
Nice.
Mixer.com/Trip0TV.
Yeah, and if you wanna at me in the comments, I'm at Neo_Yoshi on Twitter and Neo Yoshi on Twitch. If you wanna watch me do stuff, I play PUBG. I'll stream PUBG.
I am a
and-
subscriber to the Neo
You
Twitch
are.
channel.
That was really nice. That was
You're
great,
welcome.
man.
I should throw my sub at you.
"Oh yeah, I haven't-
You'll probably see a lot of PUBG and Destiny.
I
That's
gave my
probably what
sub
you're
to
seeing
somebody
right
else."
That's okay. There's always next month.
There's next month.
I mean, this is the first month that I subscribed to him.
No,
I
I subbed you once, didn't
You
I?
did.
Yes, I
I'll
did.
just sub to get you over the $100, and then I'm just gonna stop.
now. I would love. I mean, great.
Thank you for the money. Do you need to plug anything, Felix, before we
Just
before we end?
twitch.tv/Felix Hergood and mixer.com/Felix Hergood. I go to both services simultaneously at once, just like this
Kind of like we're doing now.
podcast. And it's like I like to call the community the Mitch community. You're nothing but a bunch of Mitches. Thanks for coming in.
Love
Mitch, please.
it. Love it.
Mitch's, please.
So we will see you next week. Later.
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 Did I ever tell you guys my anecdote about David Tell, the comedian?
I think you.
How I
have.
rode around him.
I mean, if we told you yes, would you
want to hear it?
not tell the story?
I'll tell the
I'm
story.
I'm just wondering because like if you're gonna just tell the story anyway, then what's it matter?
I am.
All right,
I just
so
wasn't-
tell a story.
I wasn't sure if you guys heard it.
See, I told you, I knew it. Tell the story.
Tell
Let's
it
go.
anyway.
Yeah, hurry up.
So
Hurry up.
I had to do 3 HBO comedy shows down in Washington D.C. at the Lincoln Theater. It was at the Lincoln Theater.
When you say do them, what do you mean by that?
I was a production
You know, do
assistant,
them.
but
Got
for
it.
this particular
Get on
show,
stage.
I had a
It's all
lot of
yours.
different varying like responsibilities as a production assistant.
Right.
But for this one show, I had to drive all three comedians over the course of a long weekend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like the first show was David Tell, the second show was Jim Norton, and the third show was D.L. Hughley on Sunday.
Okay.
So I got there on Thursday, and I set up dressing rooms and stuff for all these dudes or whatever, and then I had to just drive them, right?
Right.
15 pass van. And David Tell was particularly like a very nervous guy, just like his act, and then
Okay.
had like a very nervous like smoking habit. And like so if you don't know this, it's only about a mile between the Four Seasons and the Lincoln Theater.
No, I did
driving
not. I did not know that.
Driving across the city, yeah. It's about a mile, right? So not a very long ride, but over the course of driving him from the Four Seasons to the actual Lincoln Theater,
One way.
he wanted to smoke probably about 10 times, me pulling over.
Was he finishing the cigarette?
You were with David Tell?
He was sitting,
You
yeah, I
driving
was
around?
driving him.
Are you conscious right now?
no, I'm
driving.
typing this tweet, but what?
What feels like 15 minutes into this story.
Driving David Tell for a comedy
Trying to
show.
tweet our thing out.
I was
but
just
yeah.
driving. So,
He's trying to do his job.
so I go and
73.
I'm pulling him over and everything like
I was
that.
going to ask you that.
You're not letting him smoke in the car.
He didn't. He was nice about it. He asked me,
Wait a
"Is
second.
it okay if
Hold
I
on.
smoke in the van?"
I'm sorry that I keep interrupting you, but
And I said, "I don't think they really want me."
There are
to."
details.
This is leading me to
There-
so many questions.
there are
Go ahead.
details
So
there
you
that have
tried
be
to
known.
pull over 10 times to smoke
No,
cigarettes?
I didn't try. We succeeded in pulling over 10 times because he wanted to smoke cigarettes this many
Why
times.
wouldn't you
right?
just walk? Why wouldn't he just walk?
Walk the mile?
Yeah.
No, and we were required to drive them.
Yes.
They had.
No, I know, but like,
was the
why?
driver.
If he was that nervous, he could have just smoked the whole way.
He could have, yeah, he could have walked. It really wasn't that far, but and he just had me pulling over. He would finish a cigarette and then he would like have me pull over.
Would you have let him smoke in the car?
I probably would have. I didn't. I don't think I cared at the time, but I wasn't a smoker at
So
the
you-
time.
you-
I mean, when we went to PAX last year, you were okay with me smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So you pulled over.
I think my
He-
boss didn't want any smoking in the car,
Gotcha.
and he asked.
You pulled over. He did an entire cigarette. Got back in the car.
Yeah. Or
Continued.
he's doing like some people smoke half and then throw it.
Yeah.
So
Either
anyway,
way, each stop is a light up smoke and then get back in the situation.
Exactly.
Situation.
This is not the focus of the story. The anecdote is
I was like really stuck on that.
the anecdote is related to the fact that David Tell was like incredibly introspective about his self and his career, which was like, and I wasn't even asking. He was just telling it to me. And a lot of times when you ride with comedians, they want to work their act on you. And I thought it was a part of his act, but I watched his show later that night, and it wasn't a part of his act. He was just fucking talking to me
thought you were-
introspectively about himself. So at one point, he just starts talking at
show
one
the whole
point.
time.
Get this. He just starts talking at one point, and he goes, I really wanted to do like bigger clubs. He's like, I started off in small clubs, and I would do comedy shows in small clubs, and then I got to like bigger venues, and then eventually they were like, you want to do the bigger venues like stadiums, and I said, yeah, I want to do stadiums. That would be fun. Stadiums are great. And then I'm at the stadium level, and I'm like doing stadiums, and then they say to me, do you want to do a TV show on MTV? And I'm like, yeah, let's do a TV show on MTV. The next step is obviously going from stadiums to the TV show. He's like, but I didn't know when I got to the TV show level that fucking I'd be sitting in a bathroom and someone would be trying to take a picture of my dick. This is what the guy
Wait,
says
what?
to me when we're driving. He's like, never, ever, ever be a B-list like movie star. Be an A-list. If you can get to A-list level, do that.
I don't think anyone like is striving to reach
You know
B.
what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna. Just
He
be a
said, if
B-list
you're,
actor.
he said, and this is what he said to me. He said, if you're a B-list celebrity, people think that you're accessible and that they can still get to you, right? But if you're A-list, they're afraid of you. And he's like, if you're ever going to be a movie star, he's telling me this. He's like, if you're ever going to be a movie star or a television star, try and be A-list.